Hi, I'm Charles with Handicap. The story begins as an assassin prepares for a mission. His name is Ryota, and he's shocked to find another hitman nearby. But what's most startling is that it's the infamous Silent Assassin. Ryota curses his bad luck, but he refuses to let some big shot take his target, and he prepares to fight him. There's no concern over honor for him, as they both knew what they were getting into when they got into the business of ending lives for money. Ryota launches his shuriken at the Silent Assassin, but he's in disbelief when he somehow misses his target. The Silent One dodges the next attack, and the two charge at each other. They both draw their blades and clash with immense force. A sword fight ensues, but the Silent Assassin has some kind of tool that allows him to disarm his opponent. Swordless, Ryota quickly turns to his shuriken at close range, but the Silent One is somehow able to dodge them. Ryota still has one trick up his sleeve as he pulls out another weapon, but he's left in shock when the Silent One vanishes right before his eyes. Ryota is horrified when he sees that his opponent has reappeared behind him, but there's no time to think as he realizes the danger that he's in. Ryota desperately fights for his life, but the gap in skill between them is absurd, and Ryota is realizing it more and more with every attack. His attacks are being blocked with little to no effort, and the Silent One eventually strikes back. He plunges his dagger into Ryota's arm, and while Ryota screams in agony, he breaks his leg. Ryota is sure that he got off more attacks against his opponent, but it's clear now that it didn't matter against the Silent Assassin. Ryota curses his bad luck one final time as he watches his own sword fall from the sky, and it ends his life. The Silent Assassin then enters the house to do his job, but for some reason he hesitates. He struggles for a moment, but eventually he's able to lift his sword in preparation to end his target's life. Just then we get a look back to before our protagonist became the Silent Assassin. His name is Akira, and he's in a class filled with other students. The other students all socialize amongst each other, discussing their plans for the day, but Akira sits in isolation, reading manga. His classmate Sato says that he's also interested in isekais, like the one Akira is reading, but Akira is quick to explain that he's just reading whatever's free. The other students don't even know who Akira is, despite him being in their class all year, but another student exclaims that he just isn't the type to make an impression on anyone. This fact is no surprise to Akira, who's well aware of how he fades into the background in most settings. Just then, Akira's phone breaks, and some kind of magic circle appears on the ceiling, startling everyone. A spell activates, and the students are left in shock as they realize that they have been teleported somewhere. Everyone is glad to just be alive, and a man arrives to tell them that the king wants to have a word with them. The students still have no clue about what's going on, and they wonder if this is some kind of act. They demand to know what has happened, but they are all silenced by the sorcerer. The king calmly thanks the students for answering his call from their faraway realm, and reveals that this world they're in is called Morrigan. They are currently in the human kingdom called Redis, the largest nation on the human continent. The humans are currently under attack from the demons, and according to prophecy, only a hero from another world possesses the power to defeat the demon lord. The students are completely lost, but Akira has vast knowledge of isekai stories. They are filled with adventurers, heroes, and overpowered skills, so Akira smirks as he feels the thrill for what's ahead. The sorcerer declares that it's time to identify who the hero is among them, and there can only be one. The students will have to touch a crystal ball and say the word status in their mind in order to find what their class is. The first student eagerly steps up to try, but he's disappointed to see that he isn't the hero, and is just an animal trainer. Despite the lame title, the sorcerer explains that his starting stats far exceed that of an average person in this world, and he is sure that this kid will go down in legend alongside the hero. Several other students give it a try, and they're given titles like Healer and Disenchanter. There are still plenty of students left to go, but the sorcerer explains that even before touching the crystal ball, students can see their stats just by saying status in their heads. Sato finds out that he's a wind mage, and Akira reveals that he's an assassin. Sato says that suits him perfectly because a lot of the students didn't even realize that Akira was in their class. Just then, Akira notices that there's a huge disparity between his stats and the other students. He has much higher numbers than them and way more abilities. Sato is next, so he touches the crystal ball, and everyone is amazed as it reveals that he is the hero. This comes as no surprise to the sorcerer, as Sato had exceptional stats. Normally, people only have around 500 attack power, even at max level, but Sato's is nearly double that. The other students aren't surprised either, as Sato has always been smart, athletic, and popular. After seeing the hero's stats, Akira just gets even more confused by how high his own stats are, especially since no one else is even close. Akira can't help but feel that something is off, and he wonders if the king is even telling the truth about the demon lord. Akira doesn't know a single thing about this world, so revealing his abnormal stats right now could prove to be problematic. Luckily, as an assassin, Akira has an ability called Concealed Presence, and he hopes that it can get him out of the situation. Akira activates it, and is pleased to see that he has disappeared from sight, and Sato can't even see him anymore. The crystal ball test ends without Akira even having to take it, so they move on to the next step. They will be given any equipment they need, and rooms have been readied for them to sleep in. Everyone heads to their rooms, but Akira notices a camera in the hall, and he realizes that they are being monitored. They weren't told about this, so it makes Akira more certain that they are hiding something. Akira finds a room that no one even bothered to clean, which means that they don't care about it, and it's unlikely that anyone will find him. Akira finds some clothes that an assassin would wear, and he prepares himself to get some more information. He heads outside, where the scenery solidifies the fact that they really are in another world. Akira surprises himself with his own athleticism as he makes his way to the top of the castle, and he determines that he must have got the stereotypical summoning bonus. Just then he hears something and conceals his presence. Akira is able to overhear the king, who references the students as brats. He is told that the students are mere children from a world without magic, and they won't be a problem. The king is pleased to hear this, and declares that they will proceed as planned. His only message, however, is that the students cannot be allowed to enter the castle's archives, as he doesn't want them learning too much. After the princess leaves, we see that Akira has quietly made his way behind the king, and his suspicions have been confirmed. He doesn't know what they're after, but he does know that they're up to no good. Just now grasping the silent deadliness behind his new skills, Akira realizes that he could easily end the king's life. He was able to walk right up to the most heavily guarded person in this world, without a single person noticing, and his life is now in Akira's hands. Akira doesn't do it, however, and simply vanishes. The next morning, everyone enjoys breakfast, but Akira is still concealed. He wonders if he should dismiss his concealment and tell everyone what he saw, but he isn't sure if they will believe him. Just then, Sato tells everyone that they should all work together. They have been given great powers after coming to this world, and he thinks they should use them to help people. Sato plans to defeat the Demon Lord, just like the king said, and he wants the others to help him. All the students are motivated by his speech, but Akira sees it differently. They're all assuming that the king and the princess are their allies, and they're even excited to do what they asked. This makes it clear to Akira that it will be hard to convince them of the truth. Later, the students are introduced to Mithray, the Knight Commander, known as the Last Bastion. His right-hand man named Gillis thinks that he sounds pretentious, but they have more important matters to discuss. Mithray reveals that the heroes will begin their training, and in 1 month they will enter a dungeon to test their abilities. Akira of course remains in the shadows, and determines that he will have to get more information about this dungeon. Mithray dismisses himself for a moment, and Akira is stunned when he speaks to him. Akira never dismissed Concealed Presence, so he wonders if it has some kind of max duration that just ran out. He's even more surprised though, when Mithray assures him that his Concealed Presence is still active, and reveals that his eyes just happen to be a little special. Mithray's eyes are mystical, and they're able to perceive differences in temperature. Akira is left with no choice but to fight to conceal his identity, but Mithray calms him down by saying that he won't tell the king or princess about him. Akira is quick to point out that Mithray is on their side, but Mithray explains that things are complicated between them. Mithray asks Akira not to tell the king that, and Akira gets the feeling that he can trust him. Akira reveals that he wants to see the archives because he doesn't know anything about this world, much less magic or skills. Mithray wonders what level Akira's Concealed Presence skill is at, and he's shocked to hear that it's already at max level. Most of Akira's other skills, however, are only level 1, and he has no idea how to raise them. Mithray offers to teach him personally, and explains that Akira won't find what he's looking for in the archives. Akira is excited about the offer and the idea of growing stronger in this new world, but he still must find his way back to his own world as he has family waiting for him. Mithray completely understands the importance of family, but unfortunately he doesn't know how Akira can return. In the end, Mithray points out that Akira will have to get stronger either way. If his life comes to an end before he returns home, then his efforts would have been wasted. At the very least, Mithray assures Akira that he can help him become an excellent assassin. Akira doesn't like accepting favors for free, so Mithray says that he can pay him back by telling him stories of his old world. Akira accepts the terms, and the two men formally introduce themselves. Thanks to Mithray, Akira learns that in addition to humans and demons, this world also has elves and beast folk. Mithray has him go through training that Akira finds questionable, but Mithray assures him that fingertip push-ups with stones on his back is the best way to improve his skills. Eliminating monsters is the only way to level a person's class, but skills can be leveled up with training. A while later, Gillis informs Mithray that the students are progressing nicely, but his workload is significant. Most of the responsibility falls on him because Mithray is entirely focused on training Akira, but Mithray says that he can't help himself because Akira's stories of his old world are so entertaining. Akira is also very interesting because his concealed presence skill is maxed out. This fact shocks Gillis because only the first ever hero in history was able to achieve that feat. Akira arrives, so Gillis excuses himself, and Akira reveals that he's been sneaking into the archives every night to read. He's been craving knowledge himself, and he stumbled across what he describes as a scary little book. Mithray is no stranger to this book, as he was the one that wrote it. It contains the plans for a coup, but Mithray disguised it as a recipe book to hide it in the archives. Mithray actually knew that Akira would find it eventually, and he's glad that he can reveal more about what's going on. He explains that the king is broken beyond repair, and is willing to pay a horrific price to change the rules of the world. He cannot be allowed to do what he's planning, but the knights owe a debt to the royal family. From what he read, he was able to tell that Mithray is looking for a peaceful end to the king's reign, but Akira thinks it would be easier if he just eliminated the king himself. Akira has no ties to this world, so there's nothing stopping him. Akira reveals that he had the chance the first night they were summoned, but he just couldn't do it. Mithray says that he actually made the right choice because the burden of ending someone's life is a heavy one to bear. Akira may be an assassin, but Mithray says that doesn't mean he's obligated to take anyone's life. Mithray instructs him not to spill any blood, especially if he intends on returning to his old world. Akira agrees, as his mother and little sister would surely be disappointed if he came home a killer. Mithray tells him to be an assassin that respects life, so that way he may return to his family alive. Akira can't understand why Mithray is looking out for him so much, and Mithray reveals that it's because he expects a lot from him. Upon being summoned, Akira didn't just go along with everyone. Instead, he used his brain and decided what the best course of action was. Only someone who has endured a lot of hardship and overcome it all is capable of that. Akira knows just what he means, as he explains that he has lived in the background his entire life, and nobody ever took notice of him. This is the first time anyone has ever sung his praises, so Akira feels a bit of gratitude towards him. That being the case, Mithray would like for Akira to help him with his coup, before returning to his world. Of course, he says that they will keep it peaceful, and Akira agrees to at least consider it. A while later, we see that the month is over, and it's time for the students to go to the Labyrinth. As they pass through the city, the students are revered as heroes. Akira is amazed by how many people there are, and he can't believe that they all came out just to see them go to the local dungeon. Akira spots a girl in the distance, and she is stunned as Akira instantly appears behind her. He would like to know why she's glaring at them, so she explains that everyone treats him and his friends like heroes. The problem is that these heroes are all ignorant about what was sacrificed to summon them here. Akira has no clue what she's talking about, but the girl has no interest in explaining. Instead, she says that they will meet again when he uncovers the truth himself. She leaves, but is sure that this won't be the last time they meet. In the labyrinth, we see that the students have already endured many encounters with monsters. One student is terrified when they set off another trap, but Akira is there to eliminate the threat. Mithray decides that now is a good time to fall back, and says that everyone has done well for their first time out. Mithray uses his divine sword to clear a path, and all the students rush out. Unfortunately, they're just met by even more monsters, but Sato remembers that the princess gave him a smoke bomb that would keep monsters at bay. When he throws it, Sato's pleased to see that it worked, but something is wrong. Instead of keeping the monsters back, it seems to have transformed them into something more ferocious. Gillis arrives horrified to see a minotaur, as one of those should not be on the upper floors. Akira doesn't hesitate for a single moment as he springs into action and makes his way to the minotaur's back. He plunges his blade into the beast, but everyone is shocked when his dagger breaks. Akira is forced back, so Sato offers to help him, but he's clearly too injured. His arms are broken, so Akira tells him not to push himself, but Sato retorts that if he doesn't protect the class, then who will? Akira charges back into battle and reminds Sato that he's the chosen hero. His power is for saving the world, so he must be protected as well. Akira explains that everyone else can take care of themselves, as that is why they went through so much training. Sato can't come to terms with his own failure, and he begins to lose it. Akira thinks about how Sato has always been responsible, but the responsibility he's shouldering now is a lot for one person to bear. Still, Sato's despair seems to be going too far, so Akira has a disenchanter cast a spell on him. Her dispel removes something from Sato's mind, and she's stunned to see that Sato is cursed. Akira leaves her to continue dispelling him, and he rushes back to the battle. Mithray is shocked when Akira reveals that he's going to use a certain attack that they have been working on, and Akira says that it's all so he can survive. Akira makes his way to a certain spot, and Mithray tells him to wait for his signal. The knight then uses his lightning flash attack to cause massive damage to the beast and to lock it in place. We see that Akira has made his way to its back, and he activates his shadow magic. Akira's shadow magic transforms his shadow into a dark circular pool beneath him. Akira can manipulate the shadow, bending it to his will, but he hasn't learned to fully control it yet. He struggles to use it against the beast, so Mithray determines that he will have to fight again as the beast breaks free from his stun. The Minotaur goes in to attack Mithray, but Mithray is shocked when Akira is able to command his shadow to stop the monster. Despite still being in the early phases of learning to use the ability, Akira is still able to create several shadow spikes that pierce the Minotaur. That isn't all his shadow magic can do, as Akira commands it to drag the beast down, and his shadow spikes begin to pull the Minotaur into his shadow. Akira must still exert a lot of effort to control this magic properly, but he manages to push himself further and submerges the Minotaur's body into his pool of darkness. Its head is all that remains above ground, so Akira sharpens the edge of his shadow pool to separate the beast's head from its body. The others watch with a bit of fear in their eyes as Akira's terrifying attack just viciously took apart the Minotaur. Akira is completely exhausted after this incredible feat, but something is wrong. He loses control of the shadow, forcing Gillis to yell for everyone to get back. Akira fears the worst as he struggles to regain control, but Mithray is there to steady him with a gentle reminder to calm down. Akira heeds the words of his mentor as he regains focus and manages to regain control of his shadow. He ends the shadow magic spell, but its use leaves him gasping for air. Mithray acknowledges just how much of a toll it takes to use such a terrifying ability, but Akira proudly points out that he managed to survive. The group makes it back to the castle without a single casualty, and Mithray says that it's all thanks to Akira. Akira, on the other hand, gives all credit to his mentor, as he was the only reason that his shadow didn't go out of control. It wasn't much of a surprise, however, as the spell almost went berserk during practice. Mithray says that it's still a huge mystery, as he had never even heard of an extra skill called shadow magic before meeting Akira. It's obviously very powerful, but its efficiency and control are fatally lacking. Mithray thinks they should be more careful about using it in the future, and Akira agrees, as he must still do more training to control it. Mithray then gives Akira a katana, a weapon crafted by the very first hero himself. Of course, Akira wonders why Mithray is giving it to him instead of the current hero, so Mithray explains that the hero already has the holy sword. Most importantly though, Mithray doesn't want anyone knowing about it because he stole it from the kingdom's treasure vault. Akira is shocked to hear this, but he thanks his mentor for the gift. The blade was engraved by the first hero, who named it God of the Night. All this talk about the first hero makes Akira remember that the current hero was in bad shape in the dungeon. Mithray reveals that the curse afflicting him is vicious, and it refuses to be dispelled. It doesn't seem to have been an accident either, and Mithray has a good idea on who was responsible. That night we watch as the princess does some kind of dark magic, while saying that Sato would be a false hero and a puppet. Suddenly she's caught off guard as Akira appears out of nowhere to destroy her dark crystal. She demands to know who he is, but Akira simply ignores her and declares that his mission to free the hero from her curse is finally complete. The princess shames him for entering a lady's room without permission, but Akira is not playing any games. He raises his blade to her throat and points out that she's no lady. She's more of a witch, and he demands to know why she put a curse on the hero. The princess explains that everything she does is for the king, so Akira can only wonder why she obeys his orders in the first place. Unfortunately, none of his questions get answered, as the princess keeps repeating that everything she does is for the king. This gets him nowhere, so Akira just decides to leave. Unfortunately, after he does, we see that the princess has several more dark crystals stashed away, each one corresponding to a different summoned hero. Elsewhere, Akira reports back to Mithray, confirming that he was right about the princess and the king. Mithray is surprised to hear that Akira revealed himself to the princess, so Akira explains that he wanted to get answers out of her. Nothing came from it, so Mithray explains that she's merely the king's puppet. Mithray suggested Akira get some rest for the night, but warns against sleeping in the castle. Akira can't understand why, so Mithray reveals his chilling prediction. He believes that the princess will now proceed to curse all the other students. Of course, she won't be able to touch Akira because she doesn't know anything about him, but that will make things even more dangerous. The princess won't be able to curse Akira, so she will most likely try to kill him instead. The king will have his soldiers search every inch of the castle until they find the mysterious person that confronted the princess. Akira wonders if Mithray plans to scold him for revealing himself, but Mithray concludes that bad decisions are just a part of being young. It's the job of the adults to make up for this, which is why Mithray says that he's here to look out for Akira. Akira wishes that his world had more adults like Mithray, so Mithray jokes that Akira should bring him along when he returns to his world. He says that he would love to see everything that Akira has told him about, but Akira takes back what he said as he jokes about it sounding like too much of a pain. After sleeping in the forest, Akira wakes up wondering why there's so much commotion outside the castle. As he approaches a group of guards, Sato wonders where Akira has been. Akira is just glad to see that the curse on Sato was broken, so he tells Sato that he was just sleeping. Akira wonders what's going on, but Sato has horrible news, and it has to do with Mithray. Akira's heart drops the moment he hears Mithray's name, and without a second thought, he rushes to see what happened. Unfortunately, all that awaits him is despair, as he finds Mithray's lifeless body on the ground. Akira is crushed, as his mentor and only friend lies still before him, with a dagger buried deep in his chest. Akira is in disbelief, as he pleads for someone to tell him what happened, but someone tells him to give up the act. They say that they aren't buying it, and point out that the dagger that ended Mithray's life is Akira's. Akira is quick to remind them that his dagger broke when he was fighting the Minotaur, but they are still suspicious. No one really trusts Akira, as they confront him about always going missing and only showing up for training. No one ever knows where he goes or what he does, and he even appeared out of nowhere in the dungeon. Akira is the most secretive of all the students, and the others believe that he's the biggest suspect. Thankfully, Sato comes to his defense by arguing that they can't accuse Akira without any evidence. Unfortunately, the king is not willing to listen to anyone, and he declares that Akira has committed the grave sin of killing the knight commander. The princess is clearly enjoying this a bit too much, making Akira realize that he was just set up. Before they can capture him though, Akira uses concealed presence and gets away. The king orders his men to find him, but we see that Akira is still right there. He whispers to Mithray's closest ally, Gillis, and Gillis recognizes his voice. Gillis reveals that Mithray was actually eliminated by the king's personal assassins, called the Night Ravens, and they're after Akira too. Mithray had a feeling that something would happen, so he left some supplies for Akira. Gillis tells him to get his supplies and flee the kingdom. Akira thanks him for all he's done, and Gillis wishes for him to stay safe. Realizing the immense danger he's in, Akira has no choice but to do just as Mithray wanted. He gets his supplies and leaves for good. That night, the king can't believe how easy it was to end Mithray's life while also framing Akira. The princess reports that she finished putting curses on all the students except the hero. All that's left in their plan is to come up with a justification to declare war on the East, and the king needs the students to be effective pawns for them to accomplish this. He's confident that Akira will not last long out in the forest by himself, but he still decides to have the Night Ravens pursue him just in case. As for Akira, we see that he has entered a dungeon and remembers what Mithray told him. Mithray explained that if Akira ever found himself on the run, then there was no better place to hide than in a dungeon. Unfortunately, there's limited access to water in dungeons, so surviving in one would take careful planning. That wasn't all he said dungeons were good for, as they're also the best place to level up his class. The deeper Akira goes in a dungeon, the stronger foes he will face, and the stronger he can get. Akira couldn't help but wonder why everyone just doesn't go into dungeons, so Mithray explained the dangers as well. He revealed that Akira's concealed presence won't work on monsters with enhanced smell and hearing. However, if Akira can increase his assassination skill, he will be able to hide his scent, footsteps, and even his heat signature. Akira attempts to do that just now, but it's not so easy. The dungeon is treacherous, and the monsters he fights are incredibly powerful. Despite all this, after weeks of being in the dungeon, Akira is able to make it to the 69th floor, where he encounters even more dangers. He's reminded, however, of the last thing that Mithray told him. He said that despite all the risk the dungeon poses, it's all worth it. When Akira's class level reaches 100, he will unlock a special skill that is guaranteed to help him survive in this world. Mithray instructed Akira to head to the Labyrinth of Confronting so he could try taking out the bosses that are on every 10th floor. Once Akira enters a boss chamber, he won't be able to leave until he either defeats the boss or until he dies. However, if Akira wins, he will see an incredible amount of growth in his abilities. After beating the last 6 bosses, Akira now enters the boss chamber on the 70th floor. As soon as the battle begins, Akira can instantly tell that this beast is far more dangerous than the others. Its claws could easily tear him to shreds with a single attack, but that isn't all. This beast is also partially a snake, and its venom is extremely corrosive. Akira does his best to evade the relentless attacks, but eventually the beast catches him and crushes his ribs. Even though Akira is under mind-numbing pain, he realizes that if his life ends here, then he won't be able to return home. Worst of all though, he won't be able to avenge his mentor. The beast is only getting started though, so it tosses Akira like he's trash. Akira has already decided, however, that he will have to go all out without holding anything back. He activates his shadow magic, and a barrage of shadow spikes instantly pierce the beast. Fueled by anger, Akira commands his magic to tear the monster to shreds, and the attack gets even more brutal, ripping through the creature without mercy. Akira is victorious, but he loses consciousness, and the monster's acidic blood is still doing damage. Just then, while Akira remains unconscious, a voice reveals that his shadow magic has a mind of its own. It realizes that Akira's injuries have exceeded the acceptable parameters, so it automatically takes control of the shadow magic to enter recovery mode. Akira doesn't have enough mana though, so the voice decides to use the mana stores that are hidden inside the shadow magic itself. The next morning, Sato tells everyone that he wants to set out and fight the Demon Lord immediately. Everyone's quick to point out that they're still in shock from Akira ending Mithray's life, and they are not ready for battle. The students are all very rude and dismissive however, so Sato suspects that it's because of the princess's curse that Gillis told him about. Sato announces that he will just have to go himself, but a handful of others say that they will go with him. Sato forms a party with them, but he's surprised that they were allowed to leave so easily. Of course, the king was the one that wanted them to defeat the Demon Lord in the first place, so it makes sense that he would let them go. Sato can't help but wonder why the ones in his group decided to come along, and they reveal that they were able to break free of the curse. Yuki's a disenchanter, so she's resistant to curses, and lately she's grown to sense when someone else is cursed. She helped free some of the others, but Asahina had a part in that as well. His memory of what he did isn't actually clear, as it was almost like he was being controlled. All Asahina remembers is being in a room where he shattered many crystals. That isn't all, as he used the katana to do it, but he has no idea where it came from. We then learn that this was Gillis' doing. He has a manipulation skill that is stronger than any curse when it comes to controlling individual people. Having destroyed the crystals, Gillis declares that he was able to carry out Mithray's final order, and he wishes safe travels to the heroes from another world. As for Asahina, he thinks about how he must connect with Akira as soon as possible. He wished that he would have done it sooner, and he hates himself for not sticking up for Akira when he was being accused. A look into the past reveals that Asahina actually bumped into Akira outside of school. Akira was working, but he didn't want anyone to know about it, especially his little sister. The two learned that they both had little sisters in the same class, and they were surprised to find that they were best friends. The two guys were never really close, but Asahina understood Akira better than any of their classmates. Back with Akira, he wakes up after remembering Asahina, and he hopes that he's doing well. Of course, he hopes the same for his mom and sister, but he quickly remembers that there are more urgent matters. He's surprised to find that he has no pain, and he checks his status screen. His stats have gone up quite a bit since entering the dungeon, but what's most shocking is that his HP is almost full. He was sure that his ribs were broken, and the poison was spreading rapidly. His screen also shows that his shadow magic is now level 5 when it was just level 3 before entering the boss room. This means that it jumped an entire 2 levels just by using it once. Not only that, but it also felt easier to control compared to the first time he used it. Akira is sure that something strange is going on with his shadow magic, but all he can do now is keep moving. Akira makes his way down to the 75th floor, where he encounters a slime monster. They aren't very strong, so it's odd to see one all the way down here, but Akira is shocked when he finds that there is a girl inside of it. She's an elf, and Akira says that she has the prettiest face he has ever seen. Akira decides to wait for her to regain consciousness, and in the meantime, he remembers that he wanted to test out a weird skill he has. It's called World Eyes, but after he activates it, he quickly realizes that it was a mistake. It makes his head feel like it's splitting in half, so he has to abort the skill immediately. The skill is clearly too dangerous, so Akira decides to avoid using it for the time being. Just then, the elf girl wakes up, and Akira asks her if she's okay. The girl says that she's fine, but Akira has a hard time believing her, and she wonders why. Akira doesn't tell her, but for some reason, he's able to see her status screen. He assumes that it might have something to do with the World Eye ability, but he can't be sure. What he is sure of though, is that her status screen showed that her HP is down to barely 2% of her max. Akira notices that this girl also has the World Eye skill, and he wonders if she can see his status screen as well. The girl calls him by his name while asking for his reason for being in the dungeon, but this is not polite at all. Akira still tells her that he came down here to level up, but he points out that she should ask for his name first, even though she saw his status screen. Unfortunately, she isn't feeling so well, and she passes out in his arms. She has a bad fever, so Akira takes her near some water. When she wakes up, Akira jokes about her being woken up by the sound of her empty stomach grumbling. He only has water to give her for now, but he says it should be fine, since it's best to hydrate when you have a fever. Akira says that she needs to get some rest, but she's too hungry to sleep. The girl's name is Amelia, and luckily for her, the porridge he was making just finished cooking, so she scarfs it down. Seeing her eat like a savage makes Akira realize that she will recover soon enough, and his comment makes Amelia wonder how he knows so much about taking care of the sick. Akira explains that it's just something he learned over time because his mother's in poor health. Amelia notices the writings Akira was making on the wall, and this one says that they're on the 69th floor. Akira found her on the 75th floor though, so she wonders why he came back up, especially since he's trying to level up. Akira explains that this was the nearest watering hole, and Amelia desperately needed to hydrate. This means that Akira carried her all the way up here, but Amelia just wants to know if he's a creep, and if he touched her in any weird places. Akira immediately shuts that down, by clarifying that he's not a creep, and just tells her to go back to sleep. She does, but first she tells him that she's actually royalty. Akira knows this already, because he saw it on her status screen earlier. She tells Akira that no one has ever done anything like this for her, and she falls asleep. Akira is glad, and he decides that he will get some rest too. Akira can only sleep because he has a detect danger spell activated, and extends its range, so it covers Amelia as well. Before Amelia actually falls asleep, she's able to feel Akira's spell over her, and she determines that he might be a nice guy after all. The next day, Akira reaches floor 80. He slices up the stomach of a giant ogre, and Amelia uses a gravity spell to crush another. Amelia is all better now, so Akira can't help but ask why she's still following him. She says that she isn't following him at all, and just happened to be going in the same direction as him. Akira isn't buying it, so he explains that he's not going to be protecting her. Amelia is insulted, because while she does know that Akira has superhuman strength, she reveals that she can take care of herself just fine. They eventually arrive at the next boss chamber, where a ferocious dragon appears. It wastes no time before attacking, so Akira uses concealed presence to get to a better spot. Amelia uses her powerful gravity spell to buy some time for Akira, but this dragon is the most fearsome opponent that he's ever faced. The dragon knocks him away, and Amelia tells Akira that the beast must be tracing his mana. The best way to counter this is for Akira to diffuse his magic into his surroundings, but Akira says that's much easier said than done. Her suggestion does give him an idea though. Akira thinks about how his mana behaves when he goes into his stealth mode, and he focuses really hard on controlling it in a different way. Instead of the mana covering his body to conceal himself, Akira now uses it as an extension of himself. This works, as the dragon is distracted by Akira's mana arm, and this allows him to attack it from a different angle. Akira delivers the lethal blow, and he still manages to rescue Amelia from getting crushed. Amelia can't even comprehend what she just saw out of Akira, so she asks him what he did. Akira simply explains that he isn't skillful enough to diffuse his mana like she suggested, so he used the mana around him to create something separate from himself. Amelia is stunned, however, as that arm he sent out seemed to be completely independent from his body. That shouldn't even be possible, and the only person who has ever done anything like that was the first hero. Just then the two are shocked as the dragon begins to glow for some mysterious reason. Just then the glowing dragon shockingly turns into a giant cat. Amelia can tell that it's been weakened quite a bit, but it's still alive. It has an extra skill called Shapeshifter, which makes her realize that it wasn't a real dragon at all. It only transformed into one, and that should have been obvious, because real dragons are much stronger. As for its name, it is simply called Black Cat. Amelia got all this information by using her world eye, and she wonders why Akira isn't using his. He reveals that he can't use it properly, and assumes that his level is just not high enough for him to control it. Amelia explains that the real problem is that Akira is rejecting it, and he will be able to use it if he stops fighting it. They're interrupted though when the cat wakes up. It's in disbelief after being defeated by these two, and it reveals that it turned into a dragon just for fun. This is the first time that a human has ever come to this floor, so the cat realizes that it took the situation too lightly and played around too much. Akira is just shocked about it being able to talk, but the cat refuses to be underestimated. He doesn't want to be lumped in with the lowly monsters that are only driven by instinct, and he reveals that the Demon Lord created him as a being of superior intellect. Akira can't believe that this cat is ranting about how smart it is, but the cat doesn't care about the opinion of some brat that hasn't even been alive for a century yet. This cat sure does talk a lot of trash, so Akira reminds him of the situation that he's in. The cat can't move at all after their fight, which means Akira can end it at any time. The cat tells him to do as he wishes, but first he reveals that he has a message specifically for Akira. Of course that sounds pretty strange, so Akira is shocked when the cat explains that the message is from the Demon Lord. The message says that the Demon Lord is waiting for Akira at his castle that lies deep within the demon continent of Volcano. Akira can't understand how the Demon Lord even knows of his existence, and he wonders how the Demon Lord also knew that he would end up in this exact dungeon. The cat can't even answer these questions, as he explains that the Demon Lord's will is far beyond his understanding. The cat's purpose has been fulfilled, so he tells Akira that he can end his life now. Akira refuses, but the cat insists that he just do it already. Monsters and demons are the common enemy of all other races, so it makes sense that they would want to end his life. Akira explains that that has nothing to do with him, and more importantly, this idea that all demons are the enemy doesn't feel right to him. The king was pushing that idea on all the heroes, but something just seems off about the whole thing. Amelia reminds Akira that the door won't open until either the dungeon boss is eliminated or the challenger's life ends. Akira has not forgotten this fact, so the cat still can't understand why he won't just take its life. The cat is then the one to be shocked when Akira says that he won't eliminate it because he simply likes cats. He admires its messed up cat fur and points out that unlike all the mindless monsters, they can actually talk to it. The cat can tell that Akira is just mocking him, but he points out that the two of them will starve in this room if some lives aren't ended. Akira is sure that there has to be some kind of loophole to the rule, and Amelia comes up with an idea. If they form a master-servant pact by making the cat his familiar, then it won't count as a boss anymore. The cat thinks it's a terrible idea because the ritual to accomplish it requires exceptional control of magic. He is sure that some newbie like Akira won't be able to do it, but Amelia points out that Akira just did it earlier. He was able to use his mana in a way that she only ever heard of the first hero being able to do. The cat couldn't even tell what happened before, but he's impressed after realizing that Akira was able to trick him with his detached mana. Amelia is certain that Akira can perform the ritual, but whether or not it will succeed is still a question. Of course, Akira can only wonder what will happen if he fails, so the cat reveals that if it doesn't work, then one of them will lose their lives. Worst case scenario is that they will accompany each other to the afterlife. That is fine with Akira, but Amelia can't understand why he would go so far. Akira explains that it's simply how he wants to do it, so the cat calls him a fool. The cat doesn't care either way, so he just tells Akira to get on with it. Akira says that the cat's attitude has been bothering him from the start because it doesn't seem to care if it lives or dies. The cat declares that living longer won't bring him anything good, and that's all there is to it. Akira accepts this answer and asks what steps are needed to perform the ritual. First, Akira will have to give it a new name, so after some deep thought, he names it Night. The cat has beautiful fur like the night sky, so he thinks that the name is perfect. The cat seems to like it, but it refuses to change its attitude. Amelia then explains that the next step is for Akira to take Night's Paw and pour his mana into it. She doesn't think that it will be a problem for our hero, but she warns that once he starts, there will be no turning back. If he succeeds, then their souls will be bound together, but if he fails, they will lose their lives. Amelia is incredibly worried, but Akira assures her that he will live. Akira begins the ritual, and he gets a peek of what is inside Night's soul. It's calm at first, but it soon turns into a terrifying sight of a burning city. Night is there terrorizing the city and ending people's lives. Akira demands for Night to stop, but Night just attacks him instead. Akira takes damage, and Night tells him to draw his sword so that he can end his life. Night warns that if Akira's soul dies here, then his body will become a living corpse in the outside world. The only way he can make it out alive is by slaying Night. Night then displays incredible power as he attacks Akira, and Amelia can sense the pain Akira is feeling. Night is pleased when Akira starts fighting back, and he reminds Akira that he must eliminate him if he wants to live. Night prepares his claws for his next attack, but he's stunned when Akira simply uses them to stab himself through the chest. Night is at a loss for words as he can't comprehend what Akira is trying to do. All Akira has to do is eliminate him, but Akira once again refuses. Akira won't take Night's life, and he can tell that Night doesn't want to take any lives either. Night reminds him that he's a monster, but Akira points out that there's no rule that says that monsters have to end the lives of other races. Night says that it's just their instincts, and even with intelligence, their instinct doesn't go away. Akira hears everything he's saying, but he can tell that deep down, Night is sick of it. Akira tells him not to worry though, because from now on, he will be watching over Night, and he won't have to do anything like what he did to the city ever again. His words strike Night to his core as the world begins to disappear. The two find themselves in front of a rising sun, and Night happily sits in Akira's arms. Akira returns to the outside world, where Amelia is relieved to see that he's still alive, but Akira is worried about Night. Touching the cat reveals that Akira now has a crest on his hand, and it matches the one on Night's head. Amelia is delighted to see that the ritual was a success, and Akira's soul is now linked with Night's. Night is much happier now, as he explains that he has gotten curious, and he would like to see where Akira ends up in this world. Night is pleased with his new name, and he acknowledges Akira as his new master. He promises to remain loyal to him for all eternity, and he swears his life to Akira. Amelia introduces herself, so Night gives her his respect as well, because she is the companion of his master. Just then, Amelia's plan turns out to be a success, as a magic circle appears for them to exit. The Labyrinth has acknowledged that Night is no longer a boss, and they can now leave. Amelia takes a moment to admire Akira, and Akira expresses his interest in moving on to the next floor. Unfortunately, Knight still can't move after their battle, so they will have to wait. Luckily, the portal will remain open until they use it, and no monsters come into the boss room anyway. Amelia decides that they should have a friendly chat while they wait, and Knight agrees. It's a good time for them to get to know each other, and Akira is pleased to see that his new companion is already feeling comfortable. Back outside, Sato and the other heroes arrive in a place called Yamato. This place is more amazing than they thought it would be, because they heard that it was founded by a hero from another world just like them. The guys admire how good the girls look when they change into kimonos, and they enjoy some food that reminds them of their old world. After indulging in some nostalgia, Sato announces that it's time to assess their situation. They are going broke, so they will have to find work soon. One of them suggests that they become adventurers because he was told that they can take on quests immediately after registering at the guild. That sounds good to Sato, so they move on to the next item of discussion. They barely know anything about this world, so they need to talk to people and get their hands on some books so they can learn. They still want to find a way back home, so Sato reveals what he believes is the answer. He isn't sure, but he thinks that defeating the Demon Lord is the fastest way to get home. The others are shocked by this and request an explanation. Sato reminds them that the king and the princess were the one who summoned them here, which is why he believes that they know how to send them back. If they earn some merit by defeating the Demon Lord, then he is sure that they will be able to negotiate with the king. They just can't leave the castle forever either, because the rest of their classmates are still there. Sato then explains that once they have money and more information, he wants them to head straight to the Demon Continent. Asahina objects to this, however, as he says that they must regroup with Akira first. If they stay in Yamato, he is sure that Akira will find his way to them. Regrouping with him is most important because Asahina's intuition skill is telling him that Akira is way stronger than any of them. Taking on the Demon Lord without him would just be like giving their lives away. Some in the group agree with him, but one student is against it, as he reminds everyone that Akira ended Mithray's life. Thankfully, the others have already rejected this theory, as they determined that their perception was distorted by the curse that they were under. Yuki points out that Akira has been alone for a while now, so she wonders if he will even want to join them. Sato is their leader though, so they turn to him for his opinion. Sato admits that Akira is probably stronger than any of them, but he believes that fighting alongside him would be difficult. He's the kind of guy that still doesn't even remember Sato, even though they have been in the same class since kindergarten. This shocks everyone, and Asahina has to agree that Akira isn't really the most cooperative type. He knows this better than anyone because he has spoken with Akira the most. Sato continues by pointing out that it is said that only the hero's holy sword can defeat the Demon Lord. If that's true, then they will have to work together as a party to make sure that Sato is able to land the final blow. Unfortunately, with the huge power gap between them and Akira, he probably wouldn't listen to them even if they did try to team up. For that reason, Sato thinks that they should wait until they're strong enough to stand on equal ground with Akira before teaming up with him. Sato decides that they will stay in this town until Akira finds them, but only as long as the nearby monsters are still around their level. If their levels increase past the levels of the monsters, then they will have to find a place to level up even more. Everyone loves his idea, so Sato declares that it's time to set the plan in motion. We then get a look at Amelia's past as she was hunted down by some other elves. She couldn't understand why they were doing this, but the girl chasing her only questioned why Amelia was still alive. Amelia was completely cornered, so she had no choice other than to destroy the cliff she was on, causing her to fall into a lake. Amelia explains that she was driven away from her country, and on the shore she was drifted to, she was swallowed by a black slime. The next time she opened her eyes, she was with Akira. Akira can't help but feel bad for her, but things just aren't adding up for Knight. Slime don't prey on people, and even if it did swallow her, there's no way that it would have just left her undigested in its body. Amelia has no explanation for why it happened that way, but she's incredibly grateful for that slime because it's the reason she was able to meet Akira. Akira thinks that she should go back to settle things with her country, but she says that she has no home to go back to. That girl that chased her away was her little sister, so Akira really thinks that she should at least try to fix things. Unfortunately, Amelia fighting with her sister is exactly why she can't go back. Akira acknowledges that things are always hardest when it's family, but he also points out that things always work themselves out because it's family. He knows this because he also has a little sister. Akira then remembers a time where he gifted his sister the latest iPhone because her old phone had a cracked screen for the longest time. She was upset, however, because she noticed that Akira had been looking really tired recently. It was obvious that he was overworking himself, and she didn't like that he was sacrificing himself just to buy her something. His sick mother didn't like to see her daughter crying, but she insisted that she try to understand how Akira felt. Akira's sister eventually acknowledged his feelings and accepted his gift, but told him not to overwork himself from now on. Akira now tells Amelia that families will fight sometimes, but they will always bounce back. Knight remembers that Akira's family is in another world, so he wonders if he wants to go back. Akira confirms that he does want to return because he wants to see his family again. However, before that, there is something that he must do. His demeanor completely changes as he becomes very serious, and he explains that in his old world, he barely stood out at all. Nobody really noticed him, and it was that way for his entire life. So when he got his concealed presence skill in this world, it kinda made sense. However, there was one person that somehow still managed to find him through all of that, and taught Akira how to survive in this world. Unfortunately, that person's life was taken by some vile scum. Akira's rage overwhelms him, and his dark mana emerges from his entire body. He has come to realize that if Mithray had never gotten involved with him, then he might still be alive right now. Akira's vengeful wrath strikes fear in the others, and he declares that he's not going back home until he avenges Mithray. Akira is quickly losing himself to this hatred, but he snaps back to reality when Amelia screams out to him. Knight is terrified as well, so he asks his master to rein in his murderous intent. Akira apologizes, and his companions explain that they have heard of Mithray. This is because he was famous for being the commander of a nation's knights. Just then, Knight is shocked when Akira decides to lighten the mood by removing his glove and using it as a cat toy. Knight can't help but want to play with it as his cat instincts take over. Akira explains that he used to play with the neighborhood strays like this all the time, but Knight points out that he isn't a stray. Amelia would love to try as well, and the two take some time to admire how soft Knight's fur is. Akira wasn't kidding about liking cats earlier, and Amelia explains that she's also a fan. Knight wishes that they would take things more seriously, and reminds Akira that their souls are linked. If one of their lives comes to an end, then so will the life of the other. It's not all bad though, as they're also able to communicate with each other through their minds, no matter how far apart they are. That's even better than using a cell phone, and Amelia can't help but be jealous. She admits to actually being jealous of Knight's connection to Akira, but she pretends that she didn't say anything after Akira didn't hear her. A while later, Knight is all healed up, and the group is ready to move forward. Knight explains that even he doesn't know where the exit leads, and only a handful of demons today still possess the knowledge required to create magic circles. With it being so rare that only a few demons can make them, Akira decides after he avenges Mithray, he will head into demon territory and force them to set up a circle for him to return home. Akira also says that he will stop by the Demon Lord's place so he can vouch for Knight. Amelia then explains that she once heard that a blue teleportation circle takes you to the place you wish for. If several people enter, then the circle will choose the will of only one person, and all the people in the group will be transferred to that location. Akira points out that if that is true, then where they end up is anyone's guess. Amelia doesn't care where they end up, as she boldly declares that she will be fine as long as she's with Akira. Akira is shocked at first, but then completely misses what she means. He thinks that she said all that because with him around, she will never have to worry about food. Before entering the circle, Akira can't help but wonder if it would take him back home to his peaceful life if he wished for it. The thought quickly crosses his mind, but he immediately pushes it away. He must get his revenge first, so that wish must not be granted yet. After entering the circle, the group finds themselves in front of the holy tree. Amelia is stunned, and Knight announces that they're in the forest continent, the land of the elves. This means that they have gone a long way, but Akira doesn't think it's a bad place to end up. Amelia, on the other hand, is mortified, as she wasn't ready to come back yet. Just then, Akira must rescue her from getting hit by an arrow. Amelia then screams out to Akira as he uses a kunai to deflect another arrow and charges at the attacker. He immediately appears behind the elf and warns him to stay completely still, unless he wants to lose his head. Akira brings him to the ground, where Amelia recognizes him as Liam. Liam explains that he just came to investigate a strange light and was shocked to find Amelia, who he calls a traitor of the nation. Amelia is horrified when he reveals this, and Liam goes on to say that she's no longer a princess. There is no place for her in the kingdom, so he tells her to run like the coward she is. He continues to insult her, but Akira won't have any of it, and he knocks Liam out. Akira explains that he hates people who blabber about things he didn't even ask, and Amelia thanks him for defending her. Unfortunately, Akira points out that he was just too late because they have already been surrounded. There are elves everywhere, and Amelia's sister appears out of nowhere. Her name is Kailika, and she's disappointed to see that Amelia has returned. Kailika is still furious about Amelia laying hands on her before, so she declares that Amelia will atone for her crimes this time. Kailika clearly hates her sister, and Akira realizes that there's way more friction between them than he expected. A look into the past reveals a time when Amelia watched her sister enter battle. It was a sparring match against her own guards, and Amelia couldn't help but admire her sister's amazing skills. Amelia thought that Kilika was far more amazing than she was because Kilika improved herself every single day. Amelia's guard reminded her that while Kilika is very impressive, it would be Amelia that would lead the elven nation someday. Later, Liam revealed that he no longer wanted to marry Amelia. It was an arranged marriage, so she told him that he would have to bring the issue up to the king. Kilika arrived to only make things worse, as she told Amelia that she was something called the Child of Blight. Eventually, Amelia was accused of committing an unforgivable sin, and no one listened when she pleaded her innocence. All that mattered to the guards was making sure that the Child of Blight never took the throne, because it rightfully belonged to Kilika. Back to the present, Amelia simply tells her sister that she will leave, but Kilika refuses to just let her go. Akira immediately comes to her defense by telling Kilika to lower her aggression, but Kilika can't understand why he would stand by a criminal. Akira introduces himself as a friendly neighborhood assassin and explains that Amelia is just someone that he has gotten to know recently. Kilika adds injuring Liam to the list of crimes that Amelia has committed, but Akira is done listening to her rhetoric and demands to know why she keeps insulting Amelia. Just then, Kilika reveals that Amelia gave her poison, disguised as a healing potion. No one is allowed to harm a royal, not even another royal, so Amelia must be punished. All the guards are disgusted to hear about what Amelia did again, but Amelia insists that it really was a healing potion. No one believes her though, and Kilika thanks Akira for turning in a fugitive. Just then, Kilika does something with her eyes, and Amelia warns Akira not to look into them. It's too late, however, as Kilika proudly declares that she already used her mesmerize skill. Akira's heart now belongs to her, so there's nobody left to take Amelia's side. Amelia shows a spine for the first time as she angrily speaks to her sister. She demands for her to dismiss the mesmerize spell and to apologize to Akira immediately. Amelia says that it's wrong to control how he feels, and Kilika is crossing the line by taking that away from him. Kilika is shocked to see her angry for the first time, and she points out that Amelia has never snapped at her like this before. Just then, the two girls are stunned as Akira tells them both to calm down because the dumb spell didn't even work on him. This has never happened to Kilika before, so Naida explains that the skill doesn't work on someone of a much higher level. Kilika refuses to believe that some nobody is stronger than her, but Akira doesn't care and just wants her to admit that she framed her own sister. Akira has grown to trust Amelia and doubts that she would harm an innocent person. Kilika refuses to do so, however, and instead she orders for all her guards to eliminate Akira. Our boy Akira gets ready to take every single one of them out with his shadow powers, but their lives are spared when the king arrives. The king demands to know what's happening, and he silences a guard that tries to say that Amelia committed a grave sin. He wants to hear directly from Kilika, but she's caught off guard. He was supposed to be out doing an inspection, and she didn't expect him to return so soon. The king demands that she just answer him, so the guards stick up for Kilika and point out that she did nothing wrong. They blame everything on Amelia, but the king can tell that Kilika used mesmerize on all the troops. He tells her to dismiss it at once and declares that he will hand down her punishment later. The king apologizes to Akira for his daughter trying to attack him with overwhelming numbers, but he also tells Akira to leave immediately. Amelia tries to explain that Akira saved her life by helping her get out of the dungeon, but the king doesn't care. Whatever the reason is, other races are not allowed to set foot on elven land. Amelia decides that if that's the case, then she will just go with Akira, but this infuriates the king. She is his successor whether she likes it or not, and it's her duty to lead the kingdom one day. Akira interjects, however, by pointing out that Amelia is her own person, so she has the right to decide what she wants to do. The king then calls Akira an outsider and tells him to stay out of the situation. Akira acknowledges that he is indeed an outsider, but this just makes things easier for him. Being an outsider means that he doesn't have to obey the king's orders, and Akira warns that he's willing to do whatever it takes to defend Amelia's choice. This is a clear threat, and the king notices what Akira just did to Liam. It's obvious that Akira really will do whatever it takes, so the king shockingly challenges him to a duel. The victor will have the final say, but the king declares that Kilika will fight as his proxy. Akira doesn't back down for even a moment, so they all head to the fighting area beneath the holy tree. On their way, Akira wonders what being the Child of Blight means. Legend says that when a pair of royal twins are born, one of them won't resemble their parents. That child is the Child of Blight, and they will bring nothing but calamity to the elven land. Knight thought that that was a myth that was done away with long ago, but Amelia being born with different hair and eye color than her parents made people believe that it wasn't a myth. Akira makes her blush, however, when he points out that those traits are actually really pretty. Just before the fight, Amelia warns that Kilika is the greatest elven swordsman alive. Akira is surprised to hear how much Amelia admires her evil sister, so Amelia explains that they actually used to be very close. Amelia saw firsthand how tirelessly Kilika worked to better herself, and Amelia still loves her sister. The king instructs Kilika to prove herself as royalty with this battle, and she promises to win. The fighters prepare for battle, but Kilika wonders if Akira really thinks that he can win without unsheathing his sword. The confident Akira assures her that it's for her own good, because he doesn't want to slip up and end her life by accident. Akira then uses this moment to thank Amelia for getting angry on his behalf earlier when the king was grilling them. He's grateful for this, so he tells Amelia that she will be free to do whatever she wants after he wins. The fight begins, and Akira can instantly tell why Kilika is considered to be the best the elves have. Knight watches closely and points out that while Kilika is very skilled, Akira still has the upper hand. He's able to fend her off easily, and he warns Kilika to surrender before she gets hurt. Kilika refuses to just stand there while getting mocked, so she uses a terrifying attack. Akira is caught off guard by it, but he still manages to dodge it, and Knight is shocked that she used the wind element buff. Amelia explains that it's the only magic her sister can use, but she put all her force into mastering it. Kilika demonstrates this masterful control, but Akira dodges it, and he asks Kilika why she's crying. Kilika points out that her face has a clear smile on it, but Akira can tell that it's fake. This infuriates Kilika, so she gets more aggressive with her attacks, but Akira is able to make his way behind her with ease. He explains to her that Amelia still loves her, even after everything, so he pleads for the sisters to just make up already. Kilika refuses, and reveals that she can never make peace with the girl that took everything from her. Her next attack actually manages to push Akira back, but she's going crazy, and everyone around is beginning to feel the danger. Akira instructs Knight to protect Amelia, and Kilika begins to lose herself from anger. She has nothing left, and it's all because her gifted sister took it all away. A look back reveals just how close the sisters used to be. Amelia didn't like how different she looked from everyone else, but Kilika was always there to tell her how pretty she looked. One day, Amelia's abilities were appraised, and something amazing was discovered. It turns out that Amelia is a spirit medium, like the ones only heard of in legends. A spirit medium is a messenger from the gods who can bend the world to their will if their powers are awakened. Of course, the elves were delighted to hear this, as it would help the kingdom immensely. However, it was on that day that everyone stopped caring about Kilika. Because of this, Kilika refuses to stop until she takes everything back. Kilika's power is really getting out of control now, so Liam gives Amelia something to save her sister. Just then, the king is stunned when he sees what Amelia is doing. She has taken hold of a branch from the holy tree, and it holds purifying powers. The branch's powers are used on everyone, and Kilika's disheartened to see that her mesmerize spell is coming undone. This is terrible for her, as she believes that she's losing everything again. She assumes that Amelia is trying to take it all a second time, so she loses herself to madness. Liam tries to explain that she has it all wrong, but it's no use. Her most powerful attack has already been cast, and Akira realizes that he can't dodge it because people behind him will get hurt. Instead, he summons his shadow magic, and he instructs it to devour it all. It's a battle between their abilities, but it's not looking good. Kilika has worked her entire life to perfect this ability, so it's dominating Akira's shadow magic. Suddenly, things take a dark turn as Akira's shadow grows far stronger. It begins to win the battle, but it's also about to delete Kilika from existence. Akira doesn't want to kill her, so he changes the plan immediately and instructs the shadow to just devour him instead. His shadow does just as instructed, and Akira is covered in its dark glow. Knight has seen a lot of things over the course of his life, but he has no idea what Akira just did. He assumes that it's some kind of shadow element buff, but it quickly becomes clear that it's something else completely. Kilika tries to attack one more time, but this time Akira easily pushes her back while also canceling out her magic. Akira points out how Kilika feels like no one notices her, but in reality she just isn't paying attention to the people that do. Kilika fears that the others want to mock her after losing, and she's hurt to see that Liam went straight to Amelia after her spell on him wore off. Amelia reveals that Liam wasn't even under her spell in the first place, but Kilika refuses to believe anything and just demands that she receive her punishment already. The king shockingly interjects, however, and declares that he's the one that should be punished. He explains that Amelia didn't take anything from Kilika because it was actually him. Kilika doesn't understand, so the king reveals the terrible truth. He hid Kilika's true memories from her, so he now dismisses his forgetting skill to show her everything. The past shows that Kilika was desperate to train and get stronger like always. She would go deeper and deeper into dungeons in the hopes of fighting stronger monsters. However, one day a mysterious person explained that she wouldn't be able to keep getting stronger that way, and she had a better idea. She gave Kilika an item and explained that it would allow her to summon monsters, perfect for leveling up. Kilika tried to use it, but the monsters it brought forth were far too strong. She tried to run away, but the beast just followed her. Labyrinth monsters usually aren't able to come outside, but for some reason these were. She didn't want them to hurt other people, so Kilika decided that she would have to stop them here. Kilika began to fight every single one of them, but Liam arrived soon after and warned her to run for her life. Liam just wanted to protect her, but one of the monsters took his life instead. Liam actually died that day, and it all happened right in front of Kilika's eyes. The guilt from this day nearly destroyed Kilika's mind, so the king felt that he had no other choice than to make her forget it all. After all that, Amelia was the one who actually saved the day. She used her incredible spellcraft abilities and created 2 magic skills. One was gravity, and the other was resurrection. Amelia was then able to bring Liam back to life. To prevent Kilika from feeling the guilt, the king decided to leave his spell on her, but that also meant that other measures had to be taken. From Kilika's perspective, it seemed like everyone was turning their back on her, but in reality everyone just walled themselves off to prevent her from finding out the truth. The king was no exception to this, as he distanced himself as well. He knew that if Kilika proved herself worthy in her duel versus Akira, then she would be able to hold her head up high, even without relying on her mesmerize skill. The king wanted her to have this confidence to fall back on before he revealed the truth to her. Akira realizes that he was just used, and the king explains that because Akira was much stronger than he expected, he had to reveal the truth in a way that was unintended. As for Liam, he just wanted to separate the sisters before their hatred grew any further. That is why he helped Kilika exile Amelia, and Kilika's shocked that he did it all without being under the control of her spell. It turns out that a leaf from the holy tree fell into Liam's body while Amelia was resurrecting him, so he's immune to her mesmerize skill. Liam comes out with the truth of his own as he reveals that he was just taken by Kilika's ceaseless efforts to better herself. He couldn't ever bring himself to stop her, so he apologizes for failing. Kilika begins to tear up as she finally realizes that she was mistaking all their kindness for neglect. Then she blamed everything on her sister, who was actually the one who fixed everything that she broke. She's incredibly down on herself, but Amelia stops her downward spiral to point out just how amazing she is. She reminds Kilika about how kind and caring she really is, and tells her sister to trust her because she remembers everything. The 2 sisters finally make up as Kilika apologizes and her wounds are treated. Later, the king acknowledges that Akira won the duel, so he throws him a welcoming party. Akira just wants to make sure that Amelia is free to do as she pleases, so the king confirms that he's a man of his word. The king says that she's free, so Akira explains that their first destination will be the continent of the beast folk. According to Knight, it's the perfect place to get work done on weapons, and he has an idea. Afterwards, Amelia tells Akira to use her real name. He usually only refers to her as you or this one, but he did say her name once before the duel. She wants him to say it again, so Akira does. She enjoys it quite a bit, so she makes him say it several more times. After about 5 times, Amelia is satisfied, but Akira just calls her a weirdo. Amelia promises to go wherever he goes, and she declares that they will be together forever. Akira calls her girl as he says that's fine with him, but he quickly corrects himself by saying her real name. Knight watches nearby, but he can't believe how the 2 of them behave like children. Elsewhere, we see that the other heroes are on a boat. They did their best to wait for Akira, but they just couldn't wait any longer. They had all surpassed the level of the monsters in Yamato, and they needed to find a way to keep getting stronger. We see that Gillis has joined up with them as well, and he points out that everyone has gotten so much stronger that they will need weapon upgrades. It's the next step before fighting the Demon Lord, and the best place to get their weapons upgraded is the continent of the Beast Folk. Amelia says goodbye to her sister before they leave, and Liam tells Akira to take care of her. The king calls Liam out by saying that everyone knows about his feelings for Kilika, and he says that the ball is in her court now. The king orders for some soldiers to accompany our heroes to the port because kidnappings have been occurring along the coast recently. The king just returned from inspecting this issue, but Amelia points out that Akira is really strong, so she knows that he will protect her. The king can't help but be worried because he's her father, and he says that he would even go with her if he could. Everyone else says that they will go in his place, but Akira rejects all their offers to help. As they leave, Akira wonders why Knight was so subdued when they were around the King of Elves. Knight explains that very few people take kindly to demons and monsters. He didn't want to cause problems for Akira, so Knight just behaved himself. Akira assumes that the Demon King is watching Knight, however, so he predicts that the Demon King will be upset if Knight behaves too much. Knight confirms that his eyes and ears are still linked to the Demon Lord, but he doesn't dictate Knight's behavior. Knight reminds Akira that he serves him now, and he does not intend on betraying him. Akira doesn't want anything bad to happen to his cat, so he tells Knight that if they end up fighting against his old master, then he wants Knight to side with the Demon Lord. Knight says that he will simply make his decision when it comes to that, but the Demon Lord was sincere with his request to meet Akira. Amelia thinks that the Demon Lord wants to be friends with Akira because he was incredible in that last fight. Knight agrees because what Akira did during the last battle definitely piqued the Demon Lord's interest. No one else can use shadow magic, and Akira demonstrated amazing control as he was able to cover himself in it. Akira isn't even sure how he was able to do that because it happened in the heat of the moment, and he was just trying to keep it from consuming Kilika. Just then, Akira's detect presence skill picks something up. Some bandits have appeared, and they have a hostage. They threaten to harm the hostage if Akira's group doesn't tie themselves up, but the bandits are shocked when they realize that Amelia is the elven princess. They have caught a big fish, so they predict that one of their buyers will be very happy to have her. Unfortunately for these guys, Akira goes into stealth mode and instantly wipes them out. Our heroes use the bandits' own rope to tie them up, and they free the girl. The buyer's name is Graham, and Akira assumes that he's the one ordering the bandits to do all the kidnappings. The bandits confirm this and explain that Graham is a royal in Uruk, the biggest nation on the Beastfolk continent. Akira tells the soldiers to take the bandits back to the kingdom, but they have orders to escort the princess. The port is nearby, however, so Akira assures them that they will be fine. Soon we find our heroes on a ship, where Akira declares that he wants to level up more. Amelia can't believe that he wants to get even stronger, but Akira feels like he still has a long way to go. He's pretty strong as it is, but he says that there's no such thing as going overboard when making sure that he will be able to avenge Mithray. Knight explains that the port city has a labyrinth, and Akira can increase his level there. It will take a few days to get there, however, so all they can do is relax and enjoy the trip. This is Amelia's first time traveling on a ship, and she's happy to be able to spend so much time with our hero. She can't wait to see all the amazing stars at night with Akira, but our boy is busy reading a book. Amelia thought that they were on a cruise vacation together, but Akira is more interested in improving himself. He says that the king is a really nice guy because he wanted to give Akira a parting gift. Akira requested for some books, so the king gave him some from his royal library. Amelia is annoyed, so she calls Akira and her father jerks, but not a single one of her words registers with our boy Akira. A while later, the group arrives in Brute, the continent of the Beastfolk. Amelia is still incredibly annoyed because Akira spent the entire trip reading. At the port, Akira notices that all the heavy labor is being done by humans. As they enter the city, a group of Beastfolk tell Akira to leave the elf girl and scram. These guys act really tough when Akira doesn't listen, and they point out that a puny human stands no chance against Beastfolk like them. Akira quickly realizes that humans are looked down upon here, so he will need to teach these guys a lesson. The Beastfolk intend on putting him in the ground first, but it's too late as Akira has already activated his shadow magic. Luckily for them, Akira shows some mercy as he only blinds them for a moment. Their eyes are covered by his shadow, so Akira calmly tells his group that they can pass now. Amelia couldn't even tell what happened, and Akira is surprised that even she couldn't perceive his ability. Akira knows that he could have deleted those guys from the face of the earth, but he didn't want to cause trouble so soon after arriving. As they walk through the city, Amelia notices that everyone is terrified of Night. Night explains that on this continent, black cats are feared and despised. After dinner, Amelia takes a look at their sleeping situation and determines that they really only need one bed. The clueless Akira points out that they have two though, so they should use them both. Night is much better at reading the room, however, so he tells the others that he will be heading out for a while. Akira doesn't understand why, but Amelia thanks their cat friend for leaving. Amelia goes to take a shower, and she returns to find that Akira has already fallen asleep. It's pretty clear that he was exhausted after such a long trip, so she tells him to sleep well. Akira isn't asleep at all, however, and he thinks about how it's impossible to sleep in a situation like this. Night returns the next morning, and he's pleased to see that Akira had a good time last night. Akira is shocked because he didn't realize that Amelia slept in the same bed as him, but Night has more important matters to discuss. He tells the two to get dressed because a visitor will be arriving soon. This visitor is a blacksmith named Crow, and Night enlisted his services the night before. Crow says that he was summoned by Night, the nightmare of Adlia, so he had no choice but to come. Night explains that the entire reason he suggested they come to this continent was for Crow, because he's the world's greatest blacksmith. Akira shows Crow his sword, so Crow gets to work. His deduction skills tell him that Akira overused it in the Great Labyrinth of Confronting, and Amelia is shocked that he was able to tell that just by looking at the sword. Akira just wants to know if he can fix it, and Crow assures him that he can. However, that is only the case if he has the right budget and the right materials. Akira assures Crow that he can get whatever he needs, and he also requests for 20 projectile assassin tools. Crow is surprised to learn that Akira is an assassin, because while he can tell just how talented he is, he says that Akira seems quite inexperienced. Because of this, Crow doubts that Akira will be able to make good use of the weapons he forges. Amelia is insulted for Akira, but Akira kind of agrees with him. Night points out that Crow knows a thing or two about combat, because while he's a smith now, he was once a member of the last hero party. That's incredibly shocking to our heroes, but Crow isn't interested in discussing that. He simply gives Akira a list of materials that he needs to repair the sword and forge the tools he requested. It also says how much everything will cost, and Crow leaves with Akira's sword. Knight admits that Crow is a pretty cold person, but he assures Akira that he's the greatest blacksmith alive. He's also trustworthy, and there's no better person to leave his sword with. Akira needs to figure out how to get some money and the materials, so Knight suggests that they hunt monsters inside of the labyrinth. The monsters will drop materials, and they can sell whatever they don't need. Akira says that it's perfect, because he will be able to level up at the same time. The Labyrinth of Brood is nearby, but they restrict access based on one's adventurer rank. Just then, Amelia requests for permission to leave for a while. She wants to speak with Crow about something, so Akira allows it. He tells Knight to watch her, however, and Akira says that he will go do some research before heading to the labyrinth. After the cat leaves though, we see that Akira sent Knight with Amelia because he knew that Knight wanted to speak with Crow as well. At the forge, Amelia points out to Crow that the previous hero party failed to defeat the Demon Lord. According to what she heard, only the hero and a beast man returned alive. Crow confirms this, as he explains that they had an elf in their party that didn't make it. Crow is ready for her to scold him for abandoning a comrade, but that isn't what Amelia is here to do. She points out that the two of them returning alive means that they are really strong. Amelia wants to be strong too, so she asks Crow to teach her how to fight. Crow coldly refuses and explains that he vowed to never take on another disciple. He has tried before, but not a single one of them proved to be capable. They all either ran away or broke down in defeat. Amelia promises not to run or break, so she pleads for him to teach her. She wants to stay by Akira's side for the rest of her life, but the gap between her strength and his is just too big. Amelia knows that things can't stay this way, so she needs to get stronger. Crow turns his attention to the nightmare of Amelia, and he points out that their deal was only to fix and forge weapons. Knight says that their deal has not changed, but the guys don't control what Amelia chooses to do. Knight has one more thing to say, and he tells Crow to stop calling him the Nightmare of Amelia. This just makes Crow laugh, however, as he reminds Knight that he's the symbol of fear. He reveals that Knight was the one that terrorized all the beastfolk on this continent, so he calls him the Nightmare of Amelia again. Of course, Amelia wants to know what's going on, so Knight explained that this all happened a century ago. Amelia was the most prosperous city in the land, so the Demon Lord sent Knight on a mission to strike the town. It was in response to their invasion into the demon territory, and Knight only had to issue a warning to their leaders. Unfortunately, Knight let his demonic instincts take over, and he ended up causing much more damage than he intended. Their retaliation only made him angrier, and Knight's demonic side released an incredible amount of power. Consumed by destruction and murder, Knight lost himself, even when there was no reason to go so far. Ever since that day, the beastfolk began calling Knight the Nightmare of Amelia, and black cats became an object of terror. Akira is listening nearby, and he reminds Knight that their minds are connected. It's clear that Knight just wanted him to hear, but Akira feels bad because he already knew that Knight had a troubled past. Knight then reminds his friends about how he said that it was better if his life just ended. He reveals that what he did in Amelia is what caused him to feel this way. Knight feels much differently now though, because he's serving his master Akira. As long as he's by Akira's side, Knight is confident that history won't repeat itself. Crow doesn't seem convinced about Knight turning over a new leaf, and Knight understands. He knows that he doesn't deserve to be trusted, and even allows Crow to berate him as much as he wants. However, he tells Crow that his new name is Knight. Now that he's Akira's familiar, Knight has found a new purpose, and he will not offer up his life ever again. Crow isn't upset, and he explains that he never had any resentment toward Knight in the first place. However, he does say that the story from long ago didn't just end where Knight left off. After Knight's massacre, a memorial was erected. Knight went there as his mind was tormented by the thoughts of what he did, but he saw that someone else was there, mourning the death of a loved one. This was Crow, and Crow wondered if the Nightmare of Amelia was not satisfied with the damage he had done already. Knight was shocked because he realized that he had seen Crow before. They first met when they fought at the demon's castle, and Crow was the beast man that managed to escape. Knight gave Crow the opportunity to end his life so he can have his revenge, but Crow rejected the offer. He pointed out that Knight was merely the Demon Lord's tool, and blaming Knight would be like blaming a sword or a spear. Crow then revealed that it wasn't Knight or the Demon Lord who ended his sister's life. She was trying to help people trapped in the rubble after Knight left when the unfortunate event happened. Some royal was in a hurry to leave the city out of fear that Knight would return. Crow's sister tried to stop the royal so he could take others to safety as well, but this just upset him. The royal only cared about saving himself, so he took the lives of everyone in his path without hesitation. Crow sobbed in front of the memorial as his entire body was filled with rage. He revealed that the man who ended his sister's life, the very target of his revenge, is the royal named Graham Cluster. Amelia can only wonder if he has gotten his revenge yet, but Crow has not. Crow stopped himself because he knew that his gentle sister would not want him to go down that path. Amelia feels terrible, but Crow declares that he doesn't need her pity. He points out that all this happened 100 years ago, but Amelia wasn't pitying him. She just feels sorry for his sister because Crow is using her as an excuse for his own cowardice. Amelia points out that he just fabricated his sister's feelings and told himself that he was respecting them. In reality, Amelia says that Crow's just running from the world and from himself. Crow finally shows some emotion again as he becomes furious, and he demands to know why Amelia thinks that she can speak to him this way. Amelia explains that it's because she did something similar. She turned her back on herself and said that she was doing it for her sister. Thankfully in her case, Akira was able to open her eyes to see how wrong she was. Crow's tone is much more somber, so he just asked for Amelia to leave for now. Elsewhere, Akira thinks about how Knight said that the Labyrinth was restricted. It's based off a person's adventurer rank, but Akira decides that he will just use concealed presence to get inside. Just then, a huge explosion goes off, and it can be seen from miles away. An army of demons appear out of nowhere, and they begin to massacre all the people in the city. Amelia arrives just in time to rescue some people using her gravity magic, and she sends Knight to help some other citizens. Her magic is incredibly powerful as she fights off the army, and she tells Knight to get everyone to safety. Just then, a mysterious voice says that he remembers her magic. This guy is on top of a giant beast, and he greets the elven princess. Amelia is horrified as she realizes that this guy is the person that tricked her sister. He introduces himself as Aurum, and he reveals that the Demon Lord told him to only spare Amelia. Aurum knows that she can use some powerful magic, but he needs her to behave, so he summons even more demons with his flute. Elsewhere, Akira eliminates some demons himself, and he asks Knight to explain what's going on. Knight can only apologize, however, as he reveals that Amelia was abducted. Akira is furious, and Knight explains that the demon behind the attack has taken Amelia into the Labyrinth. Knight is already headed there, and Akira rushes there as well. When Akira arrives, he finds a sword on the ground, and he uses it to eliminate a demon immediately. There are demons everywhere though, so he must take out another one. Knight arrives and apologizes for letting Amelia get taken, but Akira is more concerned about taking out all the demons first. Knight says that there are too many demons, but Akira doesn't care. He shocks Knight by saying that he will stop at nothing to get to Amelia, and he warns Knight to get as far away as he can. Knight flies away, and Akira activates his shadow magic. This time is much more different than any time before, as he releases his attack called Shadow Hell. This causes his shadow magic to erupt out of the ground, and it covers the city in its darkness. It looks like an uncontrollable beast, but his attack searches out demons to consume. Akira screams loudly, however, as this power is taking a great toll on him, but he refuses to give up. This is the first time he has ever felt such intense emotion, and he knows that he would have never felt this way if he had just lived out his life in his old world. This rage that is consuming him has made Akira realize something. It's something that he never thought he would feel, and that is that there is now someone outside of his family that he holds dear. He says that that person is Amelia, but Akira's body has no energy left. Akira's attack comes to an end after he exhausted every ounce of energy he had, and he collapses to the ground. Knight rushes to his master's side, and he's shocked by what happens next. A voice announces that Akira's mana use has exceeded the acceptable parameters, and it automatically engages Akira's shadow magic. It enters recovery mode, and the voice declares that healing will require the use of emergency mana stores. The healing is eventually complete, and the voice disengages Akira's shadow magic. Akira is completely healed, and Knight can only wonder what just happened. A while later, Akira wakes up after Knight brought him to Crow's house. Akira wonders if he's been unconscious for 5 or 6 hours, but Knight reveals that he's been out for almost 2 days. It's not surprising to Knight, however, because Akira's mana was completely depleted, and he could have easily lost his life. Knight then reveals that Akira's shadow magic activated on its own and replenished his mana. This occurrence defies all logic, so Knight wonders what Akira's magic really is. Akira doesn't know either, but he decides that it can wait until later. They have a more important matter at hand, and that is rescuing Amelia. Akira thanks Crow for letting him recover in his house, and he declares that he's going to save Amelia. Crow points out that Akira doesn't even know where she is because it's been 2 days since she was taken. The enemy could be on their way to the demon realm, or maybe they have already made it there. Akira doesn't care, as he declares that he will just have to charge straight into the demon realm by himself. Crow tries to tell him to calm down, but Akira angrily tells him that he is calm. He says that he's just in a hurry, but Crow points out that Akira's rushing off, and he doesn't even realize that he's going to fight a demon without his weapons. Akira refuses to let anything slow him down, but Crow reveals that Akira's weapons are ready. Crow also says, however, that Akira being blind to his surroundings demonstrates his lack of composure right now. Akira notices that Crow split his sword into two, and Crow explains that short swords are much easier for assassins to use. Crow had to cover the materials and labor costs, so he tells Akira to just pay him back as soon as he can. Crow also gives him a ring that was said to be crafted by the second or third hero. Crow is surprised to see that Akira can read the inscription, and it says that I will lead you everywhere. Crow explains that this ring helps its wearer find whatever they seek. Of course, it's perfect for this situation, as Akira uses it to find Amelia's location. Knight explains that it's pointing them to the Labyrinth of Brute, and it wouldn't point that way if they were headed to the Demon Realm. Crow can't understand why, but it seems like they're still in the Labyrinth. That's all Akira needs to know, so he thanks Crow and tells Knight that they're leaving. On their way, Knight reminds Akira that he will follow him anywhere, but he pleads for Akira to never do something reckless again. Akira nearly ended his own life by releasing so much power, so Akira agrees not to do it again. He doesn't want a repeat of what happened 2 days ago, and he realizes that Knight would have lost his life as well if he died. Knight wasn't concerned about himself, but he doesn't tell Akira that, and just tells Akira to be more careful. Akira realizes his mistake, and he promises that he won't do something so reckless ever again. In the Labyrinth, Orm is pleased to see that his plan is going smoothly. He explains that demons have a power that lets them control monsters, and he has always wondered what using it on elves or humans would do. Amelia has given him his answer because he's not able to control her, but apparently he can immobilize elves. He's happy to see that she can talk again because he won't be bored anymore, but she just demands to know where they are. Orm explains that they're in the Labyrinth, but it's not by choice. Demons need to be second grade or better to cast teleportation circles. Orm is a third grade demon, and he came to this labyrinth through a teleportation circle, but he doesn't have the ability to create a circle of his own to get back. That is why he's waiting for his boss to arrive. Amelia wants to know what will happen after that, but Orm has no clue. He's happy to see that she's trying to get information despite being immobilized, so he tells her to ask as many questions as she wants. He promises to reveal everything he knows because he has nothing to hide. Orm assumes that Akira will show up eventually, but even if Amelia tells him everything he reveals, Orm is sure that Akira will never beat him. Orm tells her not to worry, however, because he will not be ending her life. His job is to present her to the Demon Lord alive and well, or else he will be in big trouble. Elsewhere, Akira's ring still points underground, making it clear that Amelia is still in the labyrinth. Akira doesn't want to waste any time, but a mysterious girl urgently tells them to wait. She has a request for Akira, and Akira remembers this girl from the alley around the time he first came to this world. The girl gets right to the point, and she pleads for Akira to take her with him into the labyrinth where Amelia is. She is shocked when Akira becomes infuriated, and he demands to know how this girl knows where Amelia is. Akira suspects that she has something to do with Amelia's capture, so he tells her to answer carefully because her life depends on it. This girl's name is Leah, and she explains that she used her scent tracker skill. She tracked Amelia's scent, and it disappeared at the labyrinth's entrance. She also used this skill to find out that Akira was heading to the labyrinth. Knight confirms that scent tracker is a skill that commonly manifests in beast folk, so she isn't saying anything crazy. Akira stops being so suspicious, but now he demands to know what her intentions are. Leah reveals that she is the first princess of the beastfolk nation Uruk, and she received information that the Demon Lord is targeting Princess Amelia. She was going to warn Akira, so he demands to know why she didn't tell him immediately. Leah feared that he wouldn't believe her without proof, so she tried to investigate first. Unfortunately, all hell broke loose before she could find evidence, and now they are here. Akira thinks about how he doesn't want to use a certain ability, but he doesn't really have a choice. He uses World's Eye on Leah, and determines that she isn't lying. He asks her what her spirit barrier skill does, and Leah can only wonder how he knows she has that skill. Akira doesn't tell her about his World's Eye, and he just demands for her to answer the question. Leah explains that regular barriers can only be placed in fixed locations, but spirit barrier can be used on moving objects. She can even use it on individual people, so Leah is certain that she can be useful to Akira. Leah fears that the Demon Lord is after Amelia because of her resurrection magic, so she declares that they can't let him have it. Akira instructs her to get on Knight's back, but Knight wonders if they can really trust her. Akira determines that Leah's ability will help keep Amelia safe, so the girl can make herself useful just like she said. In the labyrinth, Orm confirms that the Demon Lord wants Amelia's resurrection spell. Amelia points out that demons have practically infinite lifespans, and they don't lose their lives easily. They're already the most powerful race, so she can't understand why the Demon Lord needs her resurrection spell. Aurum doesn't know either, because while it is rare magic, it doesn't work if the subject has been dead for too long. What makes it even worse is that once the user casts it, they can't use it again for several days. It's pretty limited, and Amelia is shocked to see how much Aurum knows about it. Aurum says that none of this really matters because Amelia won't be able to resurrect Akira when he eliminates him in a few minutes. This is because Aurum dealt a lethal blow to Amelia, and she had to use her magic on herself earlier. Aurum is truly evil, as he can't wait to see Amelia cry after he ends Akira's life. He makes things even worse, as he remembers how Amelia's sister bawled her eyes out when Liam died. He expects an even better show from Amelia when he covers Akira in his own blood. Outside, Akira reminds Leah that they met before, and he wonders what she was doing in Redis City. Leah explains that her family was abducted by a dark slime, and she was looking for them. Leah reveals that she was adopted by the royal family, but before that she lived in a small remote village. One day, a dark slime showed up in town, but it wasn't that big of a deal at first. Slime monsters normally go down with one blow, but for some reason this one was able to consume her father, mother, and her little brother. It didn't stop there either, as it also consumed all the other villagers. It's obvious that someone modified that slime and released it out into the wild. This is a huge mystery, and Akira is sure that this is also what happened to Amelia. Leah continues by explaining that the royal family offered to adopt her because they were seeking her skills as a protector. Soon she became the princess, and she used her authority to look into the incident. Her investigation led her to Redis City, and that is where they met. She reveals that her village wasn't the only one that fell victim to the dark slime. A large number of beast folk and humans also went missing. Their lives were then consumed as part of the summoning ritual in Redis. Akira becomes furious after hearing this because he realizes that this was the truth behind all the king's lies. Leah goes on to say that her family and her people were all sacrificed to summon the newest hero. The reason she went into town that day was so she could get a good look at him. Akira points out that he was summoned to this world as well, so he's one of the people that she should hold a grudge against. Leah knows, however, that those summoned are not to blame. The real culprits are the king and the princess, because they're directly responsible. Akira has his own vendetta against them, and he doesn't believe for 1 second that he and his schoolmates were really summoned to stop the demons. Knight confirms that Akira is right to feel this way because he knows even more of the truth. He reveals that the demons haven't even attempted any conquest in the last century. The other races are simply under the impression that demons are a despicable evil. Akira can't believe it, but there's no time for discussion. They have arrived at the Labyrinth, and it's time to rescue Amelia. Inside, Leah points out that they will have to eliminate a certain number of monsters on each floor to activate the stairs that lead to the lower floors. It's a rule common to all labyrinths, and it was put in place by their creator, the first Demon Lord. There's no way around it, but Akira isn't concerned because he says that his shadow magic can wipe out all the monsters needed. Knight points out that Akira will have to fight a demon when they reach Amelia, so he warns Akira not to exhaust himself right now. Akira says that he has no choice because every moment they waste only puts Amelia's life at risk even more. Knight tells him not to worry because he can simply shapeshift and handle all the peons himself. It will be easy, but there's no guarantee that Knight will stay in control in the form that he's planning to shapeshift into. Knight fears that he might end up losing his mind and hurting his friends. Knight would like to believe that his instincts will no longer consume him, but he can't know for sure. Akira reminds Knight that he's looking after him now, so as long as they're together, Knight will be fine. Knight is inspired by his master, and Akira points out that Knight is his only hope right now. Knight agrees to do his best, and he transforms into his most powerful form. They must move quickly, so Knight powers his way through several monsters with our heroes on his back. Akira tells Leah to hold on tight, because if she falls off then she's done for. Knight soon becomes erratic, and he doesn't respond when Akira tries to reach him. He's starting to lose control, but luckily Akira's voice manages to reach Knight. Akira reminds him to stay calm, and Knight asks Akira if he can keep calling out to him. If he does, then Knight believes that he will be able to stay in control. Of course, Akira agrees, so he keeps talking to Knight as they make their way through the labyrinth. Akira wants to know why demons are hated so much, so Knight explains that the first Demon Lord attacked the other races. He did it as payback after he was driven to the barren continent of Volcano. The other races still hold a grudge from that era, as the Demon Lord was determined to be the root of all evil. In the end, it's all just a perception, and it has brought about much tragedy to both sides. A few generations back, the Demon Lord's wife had her life ended by someone. It wasn't a hero, and it was just some fool who wanted to make a name for himself. He ended her life in her sleep, and this completely changed the Demon Lord. Knight heard that the Demon Lord was originally a gentle soul who loved his family and his people before all this happened. Akira can't help but think about how unfortunate this story is, but that doesn't change what's happening now. If the current Demon Lord has ordered for Amelia's abduction, then Akira vows to make him pay. Knight accepts his master's decision, but he wants Akira to keep in mind that not all demons are the same. Some can be cruel and see other races as nothing but bugs to be crushed, but there are others who wish to avoid bloodshed and seek peace. Akira takes out a monster, and he agrees to keep what Knight said in mind. Eventually they find Amelia, and Akira rushes to her. Orim gets in his way, however, and warns him to stay back. Akira declares that he will be taking her back, and he instructs Leah to use her barrier. She uses it on Amelia, and Orim's impressed to see how fast they got here. He compliments Knight as the Demon Lord's right-hand man, especially because he didn't expect him to shapeshift into Cerberus. Knight can't hold the form for a second longer, so he apologizes to Akira because he won't be able to move for a while. Akira tells his loyal companion that he has nothing to apologize for because they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Amelia then apologizes for dragging Akira into this mess, but he assures her that he's just doing what he wants like he always does. Akira says that he refuses to let anyone else have her, and his decision is final. Amelia loves hearing these words, but Orim interrupts the moment. He's not impressed by the assassin's bold declaration, so Akira just tells Orim that he's going down. Orim calls Akira a dead man walking as he summons his weapon, but Knight tells him to remember the Demon Lord's orders. They're supposed to lead Akira to the demon's castle, but Orim explains that he has different orders. He was only told to bring the elven princess back alive. As for the assassin, they believe him to be a problem, so Orim was told to simply eliminate him. Knight can't believe what he's hearing, but Orim determines that the Demon Lord simply changed his mind. Akira doesn't care about any of this, however, and he's just ready to fight. He goes to attack Orim, but Orim doesn't even move a single bit while blocking him. It was a very assassin-like attack, but Orim tells him that it won't be enough. Orim's attack is able to pierce our hero, but Akira's just getting started. He unleashes a barrage of strikes at the demon, but Orim can only laugh. He blocks every strike like it's nothing, and he compliments Akira for putting up a good fight for a human. He didn't think that a human could last this long when fighting against a demon, and Orim lands another attack. Akira continues to fight back, but it's no use. Nothing is reaching Orim, and Orim is simply countering when he pleases. Akira is taking major damage, and this confuses Leah because she applied her barrier on him. He shouldn't be taking so much damage, so Knight reveals that Orim's spear is buffed with highly concentrated mana. If it wasn't for Leah's barrier, then a single scratch from that spear would be lethal. Orim continues to taunt our hero because while he's managing to hang in the battle, he still hasn't landed a single attack. Orim decides that it's time to end the fight, and Akira says that he was thinking the same thing. Knight is then shocked as Akira activates his shadow magic. Akira's shadow bursts out of him, and Knight notices that it's gathering at Akira's bloodstains on the floor. Akira then takes his abilities to the next level as he uses these pools of shadow magic to create shadow beasts. Orim is caught off guard for the first time, and Akira's beasts begin to attack him. Orim fends them off, but there are just too many of them, and one manages to bite him. Their attacks are seemingly endless, and Akira uses them as a distraction to land a direct strike with his blades. Orim is finally the one to take major damage, and he falls to his knees. Amelia is amazed by our hero, and even Knight can't believe that Akira is out-dueling a grade 3 demon. Akira is becoming exhausted again, however, and he's horrified when Orim starts playing his flute. Things take a very dangerous turn as the sound from his flute brings forth several giant monsters. Orim says that unfortunately for our hero, demons can control as many monsters as they want, and it's time for Akira's life to end. Each of these giant monsters prepares their own powerful attack, and Akira realizes just how much danger he's in. He can't reactivate his shadow magic so soon after using it, so he has no way to defend himself. It will be impossible for him to survive this next attack, but Leah shows that she really is useful. She uses her inverted spirit barrier skill, and she manages to protect Akira just before the monsters attack. The barrier not only blocks the attack, it also fires it back at the beasts and slices their heads off. Akira is then relieved to see that Amelia can walk again, and it's all thanks to Akira weakening Orim. Orim has nothing left, but he says that it's okay because he at least had some fun. Akira declares that the battle is finally over, and Orim instructs him to just hurry up and end his life. Demons never surrender, so Akira will have to eliminate him now, or else Orim will recover. Orim wonders if Akira is not capable of taking a life, so Akira just tells him to be quiet. Akira struggles to do what he must because although Orm is a demon, he still looks like a human. Akira thinks about how Mithray would understand and tell him that simply defeating the demon was enough. Akira can't bring himself to do it, and things get even worse as a magic circle appears. Akira thought that he would do whatever it took to get Amelia back, but now things are getting out of hand. A demon named Maharo emerges from the magic circle, and Orm is pleased to see that his boss has finally arrived. Everyone is terrified of this guy, as Amelia points out that he's the Demon Lord's second in command. Maharo surprisingly knows Akira's full name, and Akira wonders if letting Orm live was really the right choice. Knight is horrified and he tells Akira that he shouldn't fight Maharo head on. Akira already knows this because he can feel Maharo's immense power, and he decides not to do anything reckless. Maharo determines that Orm can no longer fight, so he tosses the kid aside and tells him to rest. Maharo declares that it's time to go to work, and with the simple snap of his fingers, he destroys Leah's barrier. Akira warns Leah to stay back, but Maharo assures him that he has no business with the girl. He launches a strange attack that Akira defends against, but Akira is shocked when he sees that Maharo was aiming for Amelia. Maharo's attack does major damage to her, but he tells Akira to rest easy. He didn't end her life, and he was just making her easier to carry. Akira becomes furious, but Maharo points out that Akira is the one with the crazy look in his eyes. Maharo says that it looks like Akira is ready to take his life at any moment, but Maharo doesn't seem concerned at all. Knight can tell what this guy is doing, so he tells Akira not to let Maharo provoke him. Akira calms himself down because he knows that he doesn't stand a chance against this guy. Maharo is pretty disappointed because he didn't think that he would have to step in just to kidnap one measly princess, but Orm just couldn't do the job. Knight is horrified when Maharo uses barriers to seal the exits because he doesn't want to chase his prey around. Akira begins to realize just how bad the situation is because he just used his shadow magic, so he can't use it again for a while. He won't be able to fight at his full capacity, and concealed presence probably won't work either. Just then, Akira is shocked when Maharo reveals that he was summoned to this world, just like Akira was. Akira can't understand what this means, and he can't figure out why this guy ended up siding with the demons. Maharo isn't interested in giving any more information, so he decides that it's time to end Akira's life. Maharo says goodbye to our hero, and he unleashes a barrage of attacks. Akira dodges them at first, but one attack turns back and strikes him. Akira has no choice but to charge at Maharo, but Maharo has several attacks in his arsenal. Akira is pushed back, and he's at the mercy of Maharo's attacks. Luckily, he still has some energy left, so he activates shadow magic, and he uses it defensively. He sends his shadow to different parts of his body so that it can devour the projectiles from Maharo's attacks. Maharo's intrigued by the impressive magic that Akira is using, but he can tell that Akira is not at full strength. There is a part of Maharo that would like to see what Akira's magic is like when he's at full mana, but Maharo says that he will get yelled at if he wastes too much time here. Maharo prepares his next attack, and Akira can't believe that this guy has even more attacks up his sleeve. Luckily, Knight reveals that the little break he got helped him replenish his mana, and he can be useful again. Maharo's disappointed to hear this because he just now realizes that the little cat has completely switched over to Akira's side. Knight confidently declares that he no longer intends to return to the Demon Lord's side, so that makes them enemies now. Just then, Akira is shocked when Knight says that he wants to nullify the pact they made. The only way that Knight can defeat Maharo is by sacrificing himself, but Knight doesn't want to end Akira's life as well because of their pact. Knight bravely vows to take Maharo down, even at the cost of his own life, but he's stunned when Akira simply refuses. These guys are talking telepathically, so Maharo can only wonder what they're saying. He quickly realizes, however, that it doesn't matter. This will be the last conversation they ever have, so he decides to wait until they're done. Akira says that he won't allow Knight to sacrifice himself, and he has a better idea. Akira was sure that he didn't stand a chance alone, but they might be able to defeat Maharo together. Akira declares that he will trust Knight with his life, so he wants Knight to entrust him with his. Knight points out that he told Akira not to do anything reckless, but that was too long ago, and Akira simply says that he forgot. They don't have many choices left, so Knight is on board with fighting Maharo together. This will take much more fighting power than they currently have, so Knight does something that he has never done before. Akira then watches in pure amazement as Knight transforms into Mithray. Even Maharo is surprised to see the late sage, and Knight declares that this is the only shapeshift that can rival Maharo. Unfortunately, he must tell Akira that he can't maintain this form for long, so they must end the fight quickly. That's what Akira was thinking as well, so the fight begins. Maharo unleashes a flurry of attacks, but our heroes dodge them. Knight then uses Mithray's Heavenly Gavel ability, and this creates a giant cloud of energy. Mahato says that it's been a really long time since he saw this attack, but Night is not finished. He compresses all that energy into the Hammer of Light, but Mahato has the perfect light spell to cancel it out. Night's attack is stopped by Mahato's spell, but Akira tells Night to keep going. The light from all the spells is making Akira's shadow sharper, so Akira tells Night that they might actually be able to win. The fight rages on as Mahato attacks them from everywhere, but Akira is able to activate even more of his shadow magic now. Akira covers himself in his shadow, and he uses it to move at incredible speeds. This allows him to fight Mahato directly, and he even uses his shadow to devour Mahato's spells. Mahato's no chump though, so he pushes Akira back with a magic blade, and Night jumps in next. Our two heroes then work together, and Akira thinks about how if Mithray was still alive, the two of them would have fought together just like this. This feeling fills Akira with sorrow, and he apologizes to Night. They're in middle of an adrenaline-filled battle, but all he can think about is getting revenge for his old master. Night urgently warns Akira that his shapeshift will wear off soon, but Akira says that it won't be a problem. He declares that he will just end the fight with this next attack, but Mahato says that he's being overconfident. Akira prepares for his next attack, but every single person is shocked when Amelia impales Akira with her bare hand. Even Amelia is in complete disbelief, and she is horrified as she must remove her arm from Akira's body. Night calls out to his master, and Amelia screams in agony as Akira's lifeless body hits the floor. Amelia apologizes profusely for what she has done, but Akira tells her not to worry too much about it. He already knows that it's not her fault, and Night determines that she must have been affected by one of the spells that Mahato used earlier. Mahato confirms that his body puppet spell allows him to control anyone caught by his magic circle. It's also able to draw out 100% of the subject's latent power, and he can buff them with his own stats on top of that. Akira can barely speak, but he declares that his life cannot end now, and he refuses to let Mahato take Amelia. Amelia cries for him, and Akira says that he hasn't achieved anything yet. He reiterates that his life can't end now because he still has to avenge Mithray and return home to see his family. Unfortunately, the choice is not his, and Akira's life begins to fade away. Just then, the voice of his shadow magic announces that Akira's wounds have exceeded the acceptable parameters, and Akira's shadow magic is automatically engaged. It enters recovery mode, and everyone is shocked as Akira begins to heal. Mahato can't believe that Akira just won't die, so he attacks again, but he is shocked when his attack is blocked. The healing is complete, and everyone watches in complete disbelief as Akira's body is raised off the ground. Mahato can't understand how Akira is able to stand again, and Akira's body automatically enters combat mode. The voice declares that the target is Mahato, and it prepares Akira's body to engage in combat. Akira's body moves like some kind of zombie, and Mahato can't help but be creeped out. Mahato tells Akira to just die already as he goes into attack, but Akira surprisingly manages to do some damage to the demon. Mahato uses another one of his spells, but Akira's too quick, and he captures Mahato using his Shadow Bind ability. Mahato can't wrap his head around what changed, and he asks Akira if something's controlling him. Mahato only gets ignored, and the voice issues a warning directly to Mahato. It tells him to cancel the spell cast on Amelia, and instructs him to surrender. Mahato refuses to listen to these warnings, and he declares that humans will never measure up to demons. Demons will always be higher in the pecking order than humans, and that is just how things are. The voice tells Mahato not to make assumptions, because the world isn't that simple. Mahato refuses to let this voice talk down to him, so he prepares an attack aimed at Amelia. Amelia can only scream because her legs can't move, and she won't be able to get away. This attack is impossible to stop, so Mahato tells Akira to go rescue Amelia so their lives can end together. Just then Akira wakes up, and he doesn't even hesitate to protect her. He shields Amelia's body with his own, and he's prepared to sacrifice himself. Suddenly, the attack stops out of nowhere, and the entire spell is destroyed. It turns out that Crow has made it just in time, and he rescued our heroes. Mahato knows Crow well, but he's confused about something. Beast folk only live about a century longer than humans, so he can only wonder why Crow is still alive. Crow admits that he's pretty old now, and he isn't at his peak anymore, but he declares that he still hasn't lost his edge. Mahato can't deny this, as he points out that Crow was able to dispel all of his magic in an instant when they fought 100 years ago. Crow and the hero were exhausted when they fought Mahato long ago, but Crow almost completely neutralized the demon. Mahato decides to let them all off the hook for now as he prepares to leave, and Crow says that he will let Mahato leave as well. Their battle will have to wait for another day, so Crow leaves with Orem. Leah didn't think that Crow would show up, but he says that he just happened to be passing by. Akira can't help but be impressed by this guy because Crow somehow knows both Mahato and Leah. Unfortunately, Crow points out that Akira desperately needs some rest, and our hero passes out. A while later, Akira wakes up and is told that he was asleep for over 3 days. Akira can't believe that he just had another crazy long nap, but he's relieved that Amelia is here this time. Akira thanks Crow for helping them, but he's concerned about Leah. Crow says that she's fine, and he sent her back to the royal palace. Akira realizes that he will have to thank her later, but there's something more important to reveal. Akira is then shocked when all his old classmates enter the room. Gillis explains that he and Crow go way back, and he always knew that Crow was the best blacksmith. The hero's party has been leveling up, so they came to see Crow so he could make them more suitable weapons. Asahina's glad to finally see Akira again, and Akira can't believe that they all left the castle. Sato explains that Gillis controlled Asahina and had him break the curse on everyone in Sato's party. Asahina apologizes for not defending Akira when he was accused of eliminating Mithray. He was under a curse, but he still feels bad about it, so Akira tells him that he is forgiven. After Akira recovers, he wonders if it's really okay for Gillis to be away from the castle. Gillis reveals that he's no longer a knight because he was fired by the king. The king didn't like Gillis's group of knights, so he just got rid of them all. Asahina reveals that he has eagerly been waiting for the moment when they reunited, and he asks if Akira would team up with their party. Knight declares that he's the only partner Akira needs, but Asahina points out that he was talking to Akira. He tells the cat to stay out of it, so Akira has to calm the two of them down. Akira says that he's glad to see that his classmates are doing so well, but he would like to know what they're planning to do. Sato explains that they want to defeat the Demon Lord, but Knight has something to say about that. The thought of these kids defeating the almighty Demon Lord is laughable, so he tells them that they don't have a chance. The others can't figure out what this cat's problem is because he has been snapping at them this entire time. Akira tells Knight to give them some privacy, so Knight reluctantly leaves. Akira wonders why the others want to defeat the Demon Lord, and he assumes that it's because they want to become legends in this world. Of course, that isn't the case, as they explain that they just want to use the accomplishment as leverage so they can negotiate with the king. Their true goal is to return home, but they think that the only way to accomplish that is by convincing the king. The king was the one that summoned them here, so he must know of a way to send them back home. Sato then pleads for Akira to join them. He hates to admit it, but the fact is that Akira is far ahead of them in terms of strength. Unfortunately, Akira has several issues with their plan. First of all, he doesn't think that there's any hope of coming to an agreement with the king. The king uses curses to control people, and he even took Mithray's life. The king and the princess are completely evil, and they will probably try to end their lives as well. The second problem Akira has to do with what Leah told him. Several innocent people were sacrificed in order to summon them here, so Akira can't even imagine what it would take to send them back home. Akira doesn't have the heart to tell the others about this, so he just tells them that he will reveal something about the summoning one day. With all that said, Akira declares that he's firmly against relying on the king and the princess. Sato wonders what other choice they have, because he is sure that Akira also wants to return home. Akira confirms this, and he reveals that there might be another way. He explains that second-grade demons are able to construct teleportation circles, so they might be able to make one that leads to their world. Akira is planning to head to the demon realm so he can get payback on Maharo, but there's something he needs to take care of first. Asahina says that they will help Akira in any way they can, but Akira says that they can't help him. He refuses to join them and says that he doesn't want to babysit anyone. Akira has already made his decision, as he declares that he only makes choices that give him the best possible odds of getting home. Amelia has been upset the entire time he's been talking about going home, so she leaves. Akira tells the others to think long and hard about what they plan to do from here, and Akira goes after Amelia. Gillis has to leave as well, so he goes to speak with Crow about making the heroes their weapons. Sato still thinks that teaming up with Akira gives him the best chance of success, and the others wish that he would just compromise. Unfortunately, the bottom line is that Akira won't join them unless they can prove themselves to him. Akira goes to speak with Amelia, and she acknowledges that they will have to part ways someday. She thought that she made peace with this fact, but she's now scared of it actually happening. Amelia once again apologizes to Akira, but he points out that it wasn't her fault. She already knows this, and she's actually apologizing for something else. Amelia says that she hurt him so badly, and she felt terrible about it at first, but eventually she became glad about it. When Akira goes home, he will forget all about her, so she is happy that at least the scar she gave him will remain forever. Amelia realizes how awful that sounds, and she condemns herself for feeling this way. Akira acknowledges that he's not the kind of guy to have the perfect words to ease her pain, but he wants Amelia to know something. She assumes that he's going to tell her how important she is to him, but she can't know how he really feels. Her world's eye can't peer into someone's heart, so she can never know. Besides that, she says that people can change their minds in an instant, and he will definitely forget about her. Akira agrees that he can't tell what the future will hold, but he surprises Amelia by taking out his blade. He says that in his world, couples that vow to be together forever put rings on the third finger of each other's left hand. Akira places his blade in Amelia's hands, and she tries to stop him from what he's about to do. Akira is determined to show her just how serious he is, so he tells Amelia that he loves her, and makes her cut a ring around his finger. He declares that if it makes her happy, then he will gladly scar his own body. Amelia is brought to tears, and she says that she loves Akira more than he will ever know. She even wants the same scar on her finger, so Akira gives it to her. Akira wants to hear everything she wishes for, and he vows to make whatever he can come true. Amelia wishes for him to stay alive, and for him to never forget her. She pleads for him to only ever have eyes just for her, and Akira promises to make all these wishes come true. Amelia couldn't be happier, so they share a kiss. Back at the house, the group of heroes still can't figure out how to prove themselves to Akira. Just then, one of them comes up with an idea because of something he heard at the guild earlier. Right now, there's a festival going on in a nearby town, and a beauty pageant is part of it. The problem is that every year, the winner goes missing. The rumors say that the pageant winners are being trafficked on the black market. The group realizes that if they can capture whoever's responsible, then they might be able to prove their usefulness to Akira. The next morning, the entire group heads to the town with both Akira and Amelia. They don't tell our heroes about the kidnappings though, because they don't want to expose their plan. Instead, they just tell Akira that the girls wanted to go to the festival, and they invited Amelia. Amelia is eager to try out all the food, and the other girls even get her to join the beauty pageant with them. They're all amazed when they see how huge the festival is, and the girls explain to Amelia that there's a huge grand prize for winning the pageant. Just then, some girl says that she's being discriminated against. Akira is concerned, so the girl explains that they're refusing to let her enter the beauty pageant just because demons are banned from participating. The girl wants Akira to agree with her that this is discrimination, but Akira is just shocked that she's a demon. Even Knight can't believe how casually she revealed this, and the girl introduces herself as Laddie. Akira wonders if this girl is really a demon because immense and terrifying power is oozing out of her like it usually does for demons. Laddie tells Akira to help her register, but Amelia has heard enough and she goes to register herself. Entering the pageant requires some form of identification, and the clerk is shocked when Amelia shows her a pendant. This proves that Amelia is the princess of the elves, so the clerk accepts her into the pageant immediately. Amelia quickly scolds Akira for staring at another girl, but our hero is quick to remind her that he only has eyes for Amelia. Laddie takes the matter into her own hands, so she demands to know why humans, beastfolk, and elves can all enter, but not demons. Unfortunately, the clerk doesn't have a good answer for her, so they begin to argue. Amelia makes it clear that she doesn't have a problem with Laddie, she just doesn't want Akira to like other girls. Akira promises that he isn't doing anything wrong, but he does help Laddie. He tells the clerk to let Laddie enter the pageant, and he promises to stop her if she tries to do something bad. Laddie couldn't be happier, and the clerk agrees to do it if the princess's party agrees to take responsibility. Amelia allows it, and Laddie thanks them both. She and Knight both know each other, but Knight is still shocked to see her acting so nicely to everyone. Akira wonders what this is all about, but Knight just says that he will explain later. Amelia gets excited when Letty suggests that they explore the festival together, and Akira is surprised to see that the girls have already become friends. Laddie gets right to work and starts telling people to vote for her. She explains that she will be in a beauty pageant, and she even writes her signature on a guy's shirt, even though he didn't ask for it. Laddie tells everyone to get in line if they want her to sign their stuff too, and the hero named Yamato decides that he should get in line. Akira can only wonder who Laddie is, so Knight explains that she's very unique. Amelia has taken a liking to her, so she says that demon or not, Laddie doesn't seem like a bad person. Just then Akira notices some girls talking about the silent assassin. They giggle as they whisper about Akira, and they run away as they're too shy to approach him. Akira wonders what that was all about, so Crow explains that Akira is pretty famous now. When Akira eliminated all those monsters with his dark magic and restored peace to the town engulfed in chaos, there were tons of people watching him. Eyewitnesses are calling him the Silent Assassin, and the name is spreading rapidly. Just then, Crow remembers that he had something from the Adventurers Guild to give Akira. After his great accomplishment, Akira has been promoted to Yellow Rank as a special reward. This pendant also serves as identification, and Amelia points out that she is Silver Rank. Silver is higher than yellow rank, but gold is even higher than both of them. Amelia's sister Kilika holds the gold rank, which only 3 other people in the entire world have. The other heroes reveal that they're all yellow rank as well, so Sato says that they can help him if he wants to learn how to make a living as an adventurer. Amelia rushes off to try more food, and the other heroes come up with a great idea. They point out that there's a lottery going on, and Asahina can use his intuition ability to win. Asahina explains that that's not what his ability is for, so Sato decides that they should try to win the normal way. Akira sends Knight to watch over Amelia and instructs him to take out anyone that tries to chat her up. Akira can only wonder why Crow came along, because he doesn't seem like the type to enjoy festivals. Crow explains that it all has to do with his sister that passed away. He reveals that his sister's wishes aren't the only reason that he hasn't gotten revenge. In reality, he has just become too old to do anything about what happened. Akira says that he doesn't look very old, so Crow explains that beast folk age in a way that doesn't show. The fact is that Crow has lost most of his power, and the man who took his sister's life has strong mercenaries guarding him at all times. That man's name is Graham Cluster, and putting an end to his life won't be easy. Just then, Akira remembers that Graham Cluster was behind the kidnappings in the Elven Kingdom. Crow begins to piece the information together as he points out that this is also why Amelia was targeted as soon as they arrived. This means that Graham must have sold information to the demons. He has the power and influence to check passenger lists anytime he pleases, so he knew Amelia was coming. Crow verified everything already, so Graham is definitely behind this. Crow then explains that he crafted Leah's staff. The magic crystal he put in it resonates with the crystal he has, and that is how he knew they were in danger. Crow finally reveals the truth by saying that he saved them in the dungeon so Akira would owe him a favor. He then declares that he has a job request for the famous silent assassin. Crow quietly tells Akira what his job is, and whatever he says completely shocks Akira. Crow gives Akira some time to think about it, and they're interrupted by Gillis. Gillis says that they should look for an inn to stay at, but Crow has one more thing to say. He explains that they will get good seats at the pageant if they just mention his name. Akira is impressed because this means that a lot of people seem to owe Crow a favor, and Crow says that this is just how things work out if you have lived as long as he has. A while later, we see that the pageant has begun to heat up. Contestant number 289 is called to the stage, and some of the heroes admire her beauty. Knight is impressed by Crow as well, since just saying his name got them an entire box to watch the pageant from. Asahina says that it worked out well because Akira is really famous now, and he would have caused a stir. Asahina wonders what Akira thinks, but he's surprised to see how serious he is. Amelia is up next, and the announcer explains that she's the favorite to win. The crowd goes crazy for her, and Akira is amazed to see her in a different dress. Knight is just as impressed, as he points out that Amelia is putting on a show like only she can. Next up is the final contestant, and we see that it's Laddie. She strangely puts some crystals on the ground, and no one can figure out what she's doing. Everyone is then amazed when the crystals light up the sky and Laddie shows off her outfit. She encourages everyone to vote for her, and Akira once again can only wonder if she's really a demon. After counting the votes, the announcer reveals the winner of the beauty pageant. It turns out that Amelia and Laddie received the same number of votes, making this the first tie in the pageant's history. Afterwards, the girls compliment each other on how well they did, and Akira says that Laddie should be proud of tying with the Princess Amelia. Laddie wonders if he's trying to flirt with her, but he declares that he only has eyes for his girl Amelia. Laddie's impressed by how in love they are, but she vows to win the next pageant. The girls promise to compete again next year, but Knight points out that Laddie's father will be upset if she draws too much attention. Laddie couldn't care less, as she reveals that she had a fight with her father, and she ran away from home. Knight assumed that that was the case, so Akira demands for Knight to just tell him who Laddie really is. Knight has no choice now, so he shocks everyone by revealing that Laddie is the Demon Lord's daughter. Elsewhere, we see that Graham is watching our heroes. Graham tells someone that they won't be needed for what he's planning, so his men only needs to keep an eye on the group of heroes. Graham explains that he can capture what he's after himself and offer up what the demons failed to take. His target is clearly Amelia, and he says that he can smell a good deal in the making. Back with our hero, Akira checks Laddie's status page. Her stats are insane, but that's to be expected of the Demon Lord's daughter. Amelia reveals that she knew that Laddie was strong all along, and she reminds Akira that he should be using his World Eye more often. There are people who hide their true power, so Akira's World Eye is the only way to keep them from deceiving him. Akira has been avoiding the ability because it gives him terrible visions. It shows that all the heroes will lose their lives, but Akira doesn't tell anyone. Gillis arrives to explain that they have found a place for them to stay, and he wonders if Laddie will be needing a room. Laddie declines the offer because she can camp out anywhere. Besides that, even though Akira and Amelia are able to get along with her, she is sure that other humans would rather sleep without her around. The girls agree to meet the next day so they can pick up their prizes, and they part ways. That night, Sato explains that the pageant didn't have the prizes ready in time to give it to the girls today, so Akira wonders why he knows so much about it. Sato then shocks our hero by revealing that he participated in the men's segment of the show, and he actually won. The others go to get cleaned up, and Amelia says that Akira should take a bath with her. Akira must refuse the offer, however, as he points out that he isn't allowed in the women's bath. Amelia says that he can sneak in using concealed presence, but Akira would never do something like that. Crow just hopes that Akira hasn't forgotten what they talked about, and Akira confirms that he will think about it. Just then Amelia says that they can forget about the bath. Akira hasn't slept in 2 days, so he needs to head straight to bed. Akira points out that he was unconscious for 3 straight days, so he doesn't need any sleep. Amelia knows better, however, and she wants him to get some rest. She determines that she will have to save him from himself, so she uses her spellcraft ability to create a sleeping spell. Akira is powerless against it, and it knocks him out. Crow hopes that he never ends up on Amelia's bad side, but she just demands to know what he talked to Akira about. Crow simply says that he offered Akira some work, but Amelia doesn't trust this guy. She refuses to let Crow force Akira into something he doesn't want to do. Crow knows exactly what she means because he can tell that Akira doesn't want to take anyone's life. This was made very clear when Akira couldn't eliminate Orim. Crow assures her that the decision is completely Akira's to make, but he makes another point. He says that if anything drives Akira into compromising his way of life, it will be Akira's desire to protect Amelia. This very real fact shocks Amelia, and she begins to wonder if Akira will compromise himself for her. The next morning, the heroes go with the winners to get the rewards, but Akira is still sleeping. He was more exhausted than anyone could have imagined, so they decided to let him sleep. The girls say that it's not a big deal because they're just going to pick up their prizes, but the other heroes are on high alert. The winners of the pageant have been getting kidnapped, so Sato tells Asahina that the traffickers will be targeting the prize pickup. They say that it's a good thing Akira isn't around, because this way, they can really prove their worth. The location they were given to pick up the prizes is pretty sketchy, because it looks like an abandoned building. Just then, a mysterious group appears, and they explain that Graham wants to see Amelia. They ask for her to cooperate, but Amelia has something to say about Graham. She points out that he's the kidnapping ringleader and the scumbag who would even betray his brethren to save his own hide. Amelia declares that she would never meet with someone like that, but the men explain that she has no choice in the matter. Everyone prepares for battle, but the heroes are shocked when Amelia wipes out all their enemies with her gravity spell. Amelia keeps them alive under her gravity balls, and she demands to know what Graham is planning to do with her. The men have no clue, as their orders are simply to retrieve Amelia, but this answer just makes her crush them even more. She explains that she has lived dozens of times longer than them, so they have no chance of fooling her. The intruder can't take the agonizing pain anymore, so he agrees to tell her everything. He reveals that all the pageant winners that have been captured have had their organs harvested and sold. If rumors ever spread about what they were doing, Graham made them go away with money. Every year it's the exact same thing, and no one has done anything about it. Amelia becomes furious, as she doesn't like the thought of them trying to do the same to her. She declares that a person doesn't get to be a royal without dirtying their hands a little, so she begins to torment the guy. Amelia breaks every bone in his body with her spell, and she tells him to think long and hard about what she said as his life ends. Before she can eliminate them all, Laddie rushes over to hug her new friend. Laddie says that they may all be terrible criminals, but they are not worth Amelia losing herself to anger. Amelia points out that they attacked her first, but Laddie doesn't back down. Laddie thinks that people, even villains, have their own story, and nobody's allowed to end that for them. Because of this, Laddie refuses to let Amelia end any lives in front of her. Amelia is shocked to hear her speak this way, and we see that Akira is somehow able to see what Amelia is seeing. Amelia was the one that put him to sleep, so Akira concludes that his mind must be linked to her mana. Akira doesn't want to see Amelia take anyone's life, so he appreciates Laddie for stopping her. Akira then wonders what Amelia would think of him if he ever resorted to ending someone's life. When Akira gets up, he goes to ask Gillis how he knows Crow. Gillis explains that Crow used to take disciples, and his mother was one of them. Unfortunately, she couldn't handle the training, so she had a mental breakdown. Gillis's father was already gone, so it was up to Crow to raise him after that. The two of them go way back, as Crow is basically his father, and he owes everything to him. Akira admits that he hasn't known Crow for long, but even he can tell that he is a nice guy. Gillis explains that he doesn't hold what happened to his mother against Crow, and he says that he has helped tons of people. Crow even helped Akira, and Gillis declares that it will be up to him whether or not he pays Crow back. He says that Akira will have to decide soon though, because Crow doesn't have much time left. Just then night returns, and he reports the results of the investigation that he was doing. He was looking into the strange cameras that were set up all around the city, and he found that they were put there by Graham Cluster's lackeys. Their purpose was to monitor and track pageant winners, so that means at this time it was Amelia. Akira assumed that that was the case, so he fears that he might have to make up his mind about Graham sooner than he thought. These cameras are actually the same ones that he saw back at the king's castle. Akira is surprised to learn that they also call them cameras here, so Knight explains that a summoned hero in the past brought over the concept. They then reproduced the camera in this world by using magic. There are other cases like this, and Gillis uses the land of Yamato as an example. There they have architecture, cuisine, and fashion, resembling that of a former hero's home culture. Just then, the other heroes return, and without saying another word, Akira tells some of them to join him in the other room. Asahina wonders if Akira has decided to join them, but Akira wants to ask them something first. He demands to know if the heroes invited them to the festival, knowing that there was trafficking happening to the winners of the pageant. Sato is surprised to hear that Akira heard about it, so he wonders how he found out. Akira reveals that he had Knight look into it, so Asahina apologizes for hiding it. Of course, he explains that they just wanted to show Akira that they were more than just deadweight, but Sato points out that it backfired. Akira still commends them because they thought for themselves and chose to fight. He says that that is enough in his eyes, so Asahina once again wonders if he will join them. Akira responds by saying that they do have the same final destination, but he reminds everyone that he has his own priorities. Right now, taking care of Graham comes first because Akira wants to make sure that he never targets Amelia again. This means that their next destination is Yurik City because Graham runs the Adventurers Guild there. Asahina says that the other heroes will help him, but Akira rejects them because he can handle this himself. Crow is pleased to hear that Akira is going after Graham, but he's still unsure about what Akira will do when he finds him. Crow says that if Akira takes care of what they discussed earlier, then he will gladly guide Akira in the demon realm. He points out that it will help to have someone who knows the land, but Akira just says that he will think about it. With that taken care of, Gillis explains that the heroes' party will now proceed to the demon realm's border and wait for Akira there. Asahina picks a meeting spot for them, but Crow angrily rejects the idea. Gillis reveals that Crow's mother lives there, but Crow tells him to keep quiet about that. Akira remembers that Crow said that he was already really old, so Akira can only wonder how his mother is still alive. Gillis doesn't want to get in trouble again, so he simply says that it's a long story. Crow picks a different spot for the meeting point, and it's a shack that his old party used as a safe house. The plan is now decided, so Akira tells everyone to set out as soon as they are ready. A while later, Amelia explains to Crow that she finished shopping for supplies, but Akira is still at the bookstore. Crow says that they have a 5-day trip ahead of them, so reading some books will be a good way to pass the time. Amelia becomes very serious as she reveals that she didn't wait for Crow here just so they could chit-chat. She actually has 2 very important things to say to him. First of all, she instructs Crow not to put Akira under any more stress. Crow very coldly responds that what stresses Akira out is not his problem, so he tells Amelia to go on. Amelia then demands for Crow to take her as his student. Crow reminds her that he already turned her down, but Amelia points out that she's being targeted. Something has to be done, but Amelia says that Akira shouldn't have to compromise his ideals just for her. Amelia thinks that she can prevent that by becoming as powerful as him, so Crow begins to take her more seriously. He thinks about how Amelia is an elven princess, and she was hailed as her nation's savior at such a young age. She has already demonstrated that she can handle an incredible amount of stress, and this gives Crow hope. He determines that Amelia might not break down like the other people that wanted him to train them. Amelia knows all about his old students, so she promises that she will never break. Afterwards, Gillis gives something to Akira. He reminds Akira that Mithray left a bunch of stuff for him to pick up before he left the kingdom. Akira did go to get the stuff, but he left one thing behind. Gillis has no clue what it is, but the commander meant to give it to him, so he is sure that it will come in handy. Asahina then says that he and the others will do as much as possible to catch up to him before they meet again. He tells Akira to make sure that he doesn't lose his life before then, and Akira says the same right back to them. A while into their travels, Amelia becomes exhausted from doing so much reading. Asahina tells her to get some rest, and he says that she can continue tomorrow. Amelia understands her sensei's orders, so she knocks out cold. Akira can't believe that she's so tired, and Crow reveals that he's never had a student get this far in just 3 days. Akira is then shocked when Crow reveals that he actually looks up to Amelia. He had heard of the elven princess who crafts new spells, drives off monsters, and brings the dead back to life. Amelia's tale is a heroic one, so her name was etched into his mind a very long time ago. Years after he heard about Amelia, he was asked to name a child born in his neighborhood. Crow says that he used part of Amelia's name to name the child, and Akira realizes that he's talking about Leah. Akira points out that Crow has been very cold towards Amelia, so it's hard for him to believe that Crow looks up to her. Crow explains that Amelia didn't seem as impressive in the flesh as he had imagined. Akira says that can't be helped because she simply isn't a hero. Crow reveals, however, that he has changed his mind. Her ability to keep up with his training is incredible, and he determines that Amelia is the real deal. He then explains that the hero of legend had a technique that Crow has reproduced, and it's the extra skill called inversion. It allows its user to instantly replicate and cancel out any spell they see. Akira is shocked to hear about this overpowered skill, but Crow explains that what's really absurd is the difficulty of learning it. Mastery of the ancient language is an absolute prerequisite, and this is no easy task. The language is insanely complicated, and each letter is imbued with enough power to drive a person mad. If someone gets in too deep, they will lose their mind. Crow reveals that Amelia has countered that issue by crafting a new comprehension skill, something only Amelia is capable of. After hearing all this, Akira is impressed that Crow was able to learn the ability. Crow reveals that he was only able to learn it because he had time on his side. Beast folk live about twice as long as humans, but Crow had another advantage as well. His weird mother took a weird potion while she was pregnant with him, so he has been able to live twice as long as normal beast folk. Akira doesn't really follow, but it's clear that having a long lifespan helped Crow pull it off. Crow confirms it, but he says that no good has really come of it. He has been telling himself that his life can't end until he avenges his sister, but it has taken a great toll on him. He's exhausted now, and he's ready to be done with it. Akira thinks about how he can't put himself in Crow's shoes because he will only live for a century at best. However, it's not hard to see how rough things have been for Crow. That night, Knight runs into Laddie, and he explains that he's on a reconnaissance mission for his master Akira. Laddie told everyone that she was going on a solo trip, but Knight's mission sounds a lot more fun. She wants to go with him, and she explains to Knight that the more the merrier when it comes to missions. Sometime later, Akira and his group arrive in Uric City. Crow tells Akira and Amelia that he will find a place for them to stay, so the two of them can do some sightseeing in the meantime. Akira points out that he doesn't know how to even get around this place, but Crow already planned for this. He reveals that he's already reached out to Leah, so she will be here within the hour. When everyone's ready, they will reconvene at the Central Fountain Plaza. It should be around noon, and Crow says that he will send someone from the inn to meet with them. After they part ways, Akira says that they can take the scenic route. They will have a leisurely stroll through the town, and this will be their first real date. They start at a market, and Akira tells Amelia that she can eat all she wants. He is very proud of her, and he wants her to celebrate after studying the ancient language every single day. Amelia is very happy, and she reveals that she's never celebrated before. Akira is stunned to hear this, so she explains that royalty has to celebrate the people, not the other way around. It's different with Akira though, so Amelia wants to go on a date and celebrate every day with him. Akira is obviously concerned when he tries to bring something up to Amelia, but he stops himself from asking her something. Amelia can tell that something's bothering him, so she simply tells our hero not to worry. She assures Akira that she's going to get stronger. So strong that he will never have to lift a finger. Akira can't believe that she cares this much about him, so he just tells her not to push herself too hard. Amelia is more determined than ever, so she says that for Akira, she can handle anything. After Amelia finishes eating everything at the market, Leah arrives to join them. She shows them around town and explains that Uric is a city of water. It is said that there's no way to see more than half the place without taking a boat. Their boat ride is amazing, and Akira thinks about how this is like Venice from his old world. There's a castle in the distance, so Leah explains that it houses the nation's royal palace. This is where her family lives, and she explains that they can't wait to meet Akira and Amelia. Akira is surprised to hear that the royal family even knows about them, so Leah explains some more. Her adoptive father, King Igsum, has arranged the lunch to welcome Princess Amelia. Akira takes a moment to thank Leah for helping them the other day, and Leah says that she was happy to be of service. Akira remembers that she used a barrier called Inverted Spirit, and he wonders if it has anything to do with the inversion spell that Crow mentioned. Leah explains that they are similar, but also completely different. She doesn't want Akira to overestimate her abilities, so she explains that her skill is simply an extension of barrier techniques. More powerful magics can break through it, and it doesn't compare to what Crow does. Crow's inversion activates on sight, and it can never be overpowered. However, Leah does admit that she based her skill off of Crow's. Akira reveals that Amelia is learning Crow's skill from Crow himself, but this horrifies Leah because she knows what it can do to people. Amelia admits that it has been really difficult, so Akira explains that he brought it up in the hopes of getting a hint or two from Leah. Leah is still in disbelief though, because she can't believe that Crow is passing down the inversion skill. Akira wonders if something is wrong, but Leah says it's nothing. Leah then changes the subject as she brings up how amazing Akira was when he battled the demon. This is mostly because she had never seen or even heard anything about shadow magic before. Akira must admit that wasn't really him, and he thinks about how he was totally out of control. His life nearly ended, and he determines that he can't use shadow magic too carelessly. They arrive at the castle soon after, and King Ixim welcomes them. Lunch will be arriving soon, but the king wants to get something out of the way first. First of all, he thanks Amelia for helping his daughter. Amelia is a very honest person, so she points out that Leah only got in trouble because she was abducted. Besides that, it was Akira and Crow who really helped Leah. The king is impressed by this, so he says that he will have to thank Crow later. Akira can only laugh because the king didn't thank him, but the king reveals that his next order of business has to do with Akira. The king then shocks our hero as he reveals that he has a request for him. He wants to know if Akira will accept, but Akira of course wants to hear the details first. Just then, someone takes great offense to this, and he demands for Akira to show the king some respect. The king tells the guy to be patient, and he agrees to give Akira the details. He reveals that his request involves assassinating a target. In return, Akira will be guaranteed safety in this country. Akira doesn't need to hear another word, and he immediately refuses. The king explains that Akira will be handsomely rewarded, and the mission is to get rid of Graham. Akira can't believe that Graham is being brought up by even the king, and the king is shocked to learn that Akira already knows about him. Ixim reveals that he demoted Graham from minister to guildmaster to keep him away from public affairs. However, Graham has hired mercenaries and is running amok in the kingdom. If left unchecked, the king fears that Graham will ruin the crown's reputation. This is why the king is asking for Akira's help, but Akira tells him that this is his problem, and it has nothing to do with him. The king begins to get frustrated, and he says that he has heard that Akira comes from a peaceful land. This led him to believe that ensuring his own safety would be a top priority. Akira simply explains that he can protect himself just fine, and he doesn't need the king to guarantee him anything. Besides that, Akira says that he doesn't need protection from people weaker than him. The Minotaur guy becomes furious, and he refuses to let Akira speak so rudely to his king. He has heard from some people that Akira is called the Silent Assassin and the Slayer of 100 Beasts. He thinks that Akira is the one that started these rumors though, and he wonders if the praise Akira received has made him delusional. Akira simply points out that he didn't start those rumors, and Amelia also comes to his defense. She's insulted to hear someone calling Akira a liar, so she prepares to defend him, but this causes tensions to rise dramatically. Akira tells her to settle down, and he says that he can prove that he's neither lying nor delusional. The Minotaur is on the same page, so he tells the king to sanction a duel so he can fight Akira. Leah begs for her father not to, but the king thinks it's a great idea. It's been a long time since he has seen what the head of his royal knights can do, so he orders for everyone to prepare for the duel. Moments later, the two of them prepare to fight as everyone watches. The Minotaur's name is Mazric, and he is stunned when Akira tosses his daggers to Amelia. Akira tells her to hang on to them for him, but Mazric can't believe what he just saw. Akira is planning to fight him while being unarmed, so Mazric wonders if Akira has lost his mind. Akira tells him that he's wrong, because he will be using his tools like a good assassin. The king announces the start of the fight, so Mazric charges in with incredible force. He demonstrates his immense power right off the bat as he uses his axe to launch debris at our hero. Everyone's at the edge of their seat to see if Akira survived, and Akira amazes them as he dodges Mazric's next attack. Akira admits that Mazric has some impressive power and speed, but he explains that he already accounted for that. Akira then uses one of his tools to take a hold of the Minotaur. Mazric is not impressed by his cheap tricks, so he pulls Akira towards him. Amelia becomes concerned as Mazric unleashes a powerful strike, but Akira manages to defend against it, and he uses it to propel himself into the sky. Akira hasn't lost his composure even once during this battle, and he determines that it's time to end this fight. The two men charge at each other with deadly intent, but Akira is just too skilled. He uses his tools as they collide with each other, and he absolutely slices Mazurk's axe to pieces. Mazurk is totally defeated, so Akira points out that the winner has been decided. Amelia says that this should have been enough for the king, so he can never tell Akira what to do ever again. The king has no choice but to accept that, but he does say that he's appalled by Amelia's behavior. It's clear that she has a romantic relationship with Akira, so he says that an elven princess dating a human is a nasty way to fool around. He points out that Amelia will live much longer than Akira, and Amelia can't deny this. Leah tells her father to take it easy, so the king says that he has made his decision. He orders for his men to take Akira and Amelia to the pier because he wants them to leave his castle. On their way back to town, Akira notices that something is bothering Amelia. Amelia says that Akira was great in battle, but he's just glad that she doesn't think he's a liar. Amelia declares that she's happy to be with Akira, and she thanks him for showing her the world. Akira says that he should be the one thanking her because she chose to travel with him over staying with her own family. Amelia is in disbelief, and she wonders how he always manages to say the words that she wants to hear the most. Akira asks her why she's starting to cry, but she can't say, and she just hugs him. She declares that if Akira's life ever comes to an end, then hers will too. Afterwards, Akira goes to speak with Crow in the expensive hotel that he got them. Crow explains that the owner owes him a lot, so they don't have to worry about the cost. Amelia rushes in because she's really excited to tell Akira about the huge bed that they have. She points out that they have time before dinner, so she wants him to roll around with her. Unfortunately, Akira must pass on the offer, as he has work that must be done. Crow then explains that watching how Akira is always working to become stronger reminds him of a man that he used to know. This man had an insatiable craving for knowledge, and he would read every chance he got, just like Akira. Akira thinks that they would have made great friends, and Crow explains that the guy absorbed knowledge that a normal person would never find useful in a lifetime. Eventually, this man came to be known as a sage. He knew both magic and the sword, and some would say that he was blessed by both the pen and the sword. Akira is shocked as this reminds him of someone, so he asks for the sage's name. Akira's shock quickly turns to horror as Crow reveals that his name was Mithray, and he explains a terrible thing that happened to him. He says that Mithray was knight commander in Gillis's homeland until his king ended his life. Crow had no clue that Akira knew him, so Akira explains that he owes a lot to Mithray. Akira declares that he will avenge him one day, so Crow says that this is perfect. Akira has no clue why he would say that, so Crow reveals that it has to do with the person who actually took Mithray's life. He wonders who Akira thinks it was, so Akira says that it must have been the king's personal assassins, called the Night Ravens. Crow confirms this, but that isn't all there is to the story. Akira's mind then spirals into chaos, as Crow reveals that the king hired the Night Ravens from Graham. This means that Mithray would still be alive this very moment if it wasn't for Graham Cluster. Amelia just now learns about Crow's request for Akira, so she tells Crow to revoke it. She doesn't want Akira to take anyone's life, but Crow says that Akira is free to decline if he doesn't want to. Crow reminds him, though, that he will only guide Akira through the demon realm if he does the job. He also points out that he hasn't taken the fee for reforging Akira's weapon or crafting his tools. Crow doesn't care about any of that, though, and he even says that Akira can keep the guiding ring he gave him. Furthermore, Akira doesn't have to repay the debt for Crow saving their lives in the dungeon. All Crow cares about is Akira taking out Graham. Amelia tries to stop Crow from convincing our hero, but Akira tells her that this is something he needs to figure out himself. If what Crow said was true, then Graham is partly responsible for what happened to Mithray. To make things worse, Graham is even targeting Amelia. Graham is only causing problems for them, so it only makes sense for him to eliminate Graham before they do anything else. Crow says that Graham really was the one who hired out the Night Ravens, but Amelia is furious to hear him say anything. Crow continues though, and reveals even more. Graham hired powerful mercenaries to protect him, but their powers are not natural. This power that they have comes from enhancement drugs. These boosters forcibly buff one's combat abilities to be on par with those of demons, while stripping them of their ego. This means that Graham can mass-produce an obedient and all-powerful personal army at his will. Akira always thought that it was strange that someone was able to eliminate Mithray, but it all makes sense now. Not even Mithray could fend off boosted soldiers that outnumbered him. Graham needs to be dealt with before this becomes an even bigger problem, because Graham has something planned. Graham is involved in human trafficking, and Akira is shocked to learn that his clients are demons. In return for giving them humans, Graham gets materials that can only be found in the demon realm. These are the materials that he uses to produce even more boosted soldiers. Akira realizes that Graham must be eliminated as soon as possible, but he still can't decide what to do. He leaves the room to think about it, and Amelia goes after him. Crow says that no matter what Akira decides, there will be pain. The next morning, Leah arrives to apologize for her father's behavior. She is sorry for not being able to stop the king from asking Akira to do his dirty work for him, but Akira says it's not her fault. Crow is not surprised to hear that the king asked Akira to take Graham's life, because it makes sense. The crown will lose face if Graham's misdeeds come to light, but if they try to eliminate him themselves and fail, then Graham will have the upper hand. That must be why the king wants a disposable pawn to do the work for him. Leah then apologizes for the king insulting Amelia, but Amelia doesn't want to tell Akira what he said. Leah knows that it won't be enough to make up for what happened, but she offers to show them around town again to make things better. Crow suggests that they take her up on the offer because Leah isn't the type to back down. Leah is glad when they accept her invitation, and Crow is shocked when she says that he will be coming with. Leah plans it all out as she says that she will take them to an art museum to start off. Then they will do some shopping before ending the day by seeing a play at the theater. Amelia can only wonder what they will be eating for lunch, and Akira tells her to expect good things because Leah is determined to show them a good time. Leah thanks Crow for backing her up, but he just says that he didn't want to see her standing there with her head bowed for hours. Just then, Amelia realizes something going on between them, so she suggests that they split up. She will go with Akira, and she tells Leah to take Crow. Leah wonders if she did something wrong, but Amelia says that she just wants some alone time with Akira. Everyone agrees to splitting up, but Akira can only wonder why Amelia did that. Amelia can't believe that Akira didn't notice sooner, so she reveals that Leah likes Crow. Amelia thinks that Leah might even love him, but Akira points out that there's a huge gap in their age. Amelia retorts by saying that beast folk don't visibly age, so it's normal for a couple to be far apart in age. It wasn't all about them though, as Amelia reveals that she wants to speak with Akira in private. She reminds Akira that he doesn't need to accept Crow's request. They can go to the demon realm without Crow, and she is sure that they will figure it out themselves. She then explains that Laddie once told her something that she really believes in. She said that all people, even villains, have their own stories, and no one gets to end that for them. She wonders if Akira feels the same way, but he doesn't have a response. Elsewhere, Knight was sure that Laddie would get bored of following him by now, but Laddie says that she doesn't have anywhere to go. She's just trying to pass the time, and she didn't want to be around her demon lord father anymore. Knight heard that they never got along, and Laddie simply says that not even the king of demons gets to break the laws of this world. She says that they don't see eye to eye, but Laddie doesn't reveal anything else. Knight keeps calling her Latisse, but she has a problem with it. She tells him to call her Laddie because it's the short and sweet nickname that she came up with herself. Just then, they find an inn in the middle of nowhere, and Knight explains that adventurers and merchants use it when traveling between cities. There are some horses that travelers can switch out with their own to save time mid-journey. Laddie's impressed to see that Knight knows so much, but he's shocked when she heads to the tavern on the first floor of the inn. Laddie buys some bread from the innkeeper, and he wonders if she's an adventurer looking to make some money. Laddie says that she's looking to make it big in the capital, but the guy warns her to be careful. The high-paying jobs that the guildmaster puts up in New York City are crazy dangerous, and rumors say that there are even demons involved. There are jobs to transport to the human nation of Redis that he thinks would be better for her. They pay less, but they are safer, so he suggests that she stick with those. Knight becomes interested in these jobs, so the guy explains that instead of hiring shipping companies, the guildmaster gets adventurers to do it. This is pretty strange, so it's clear that the guildmaster wants to keep it quiet. Outside, Laddie reveals that she was acting the entire time, and she wonders what Knight thought about her information gathering skills. Knight is very impressed because they got some very useful intel about Graham the Guildmaster. Unfortunately, Knight says that it would have been perfect if Laddie didn't totally mess it up at the end. It turns out that Laddie called herself a lady of the people, so she signed her name on the way out. Laddie doesn't think it was a mistake though, and in fact it was the most important part. Meanwhile, Akira says that what Amelia learned from Laddie is very wise. Amelia is glad to hear this, so she suggests that Akira turn down Crow's request. Akira explains that he made the decision to avenge Mithray long before he met Amelia. Furthermore, ending Graham's life will get her out of danger. Amelia sees where he's going with this, so she declares that she's getting stronger. If anyone tries to come after her, then she will be able to take care of herself. This isn't all though, as Akira wonders what Crow will do if he doesn't help him. Crow will most likely die a slow death, trapped by a desire for revenge that will never be fulfilled. In Laddie's terms, that is how Crow's life story will end. Elsewhere, Leah wonders where Crow is taking her, but he says that he will tell her when they get there. Leah wishes that he would stop treating her like a child, and she's still upset because he refuses to teach her the inversion spell. Crow explains that he would never run the risk of destroying her mind, and Leah's surprised to hear that he cares about her this much. Just then, she's amazed when they arrive at their destination. Beautiful flowers cover the land, and Leah has never seen flowers like these before. They are called red spider lilies, and Crow says that a hero from generations ago brought them here from his world. Leah tries to touch one, but Crow stops her because they are poisonous. Akira explained to Crow earlier that they are also known as flowers of the dead, and they represent the afterlife. He wonders if that's what makes them so beautiful, and Leah wonders why Crow brought her here. Crow simply explains that he found this while walking the day before, and he wanted to show somebody. Leah can't help but admire this place because it's deserted and very pretty. Leah becomes very bold, so she tells Crow that if he likes someone, then he should bring them here and tell them how he feels. She is sure that it will go well, but Crow has no idea what she's talking about. Leah points out that Crow has been alone forever, and she thinks that he would be so much happier if he had a partner. Crow is a very dark guy though, as he says that he doesn't plan on ever finding happiness. The moment he decided to avenge his sister, he abandoned all hope for himself. Besides that, his goal is to ruin the life of another person, so Crow determines that he has no right to be happy. This is a very dark reality that he lives, so Leah can't help but worry about him. Elsewhere, Gillis celebrates as the heroes take down a giant bear. Sato points out that animals are much easier to deal with than monsters, and Asahina agrees that they're undeserving of praise. Everyone is happy though, because this catch will provide them with food for weeks. To make it better, they still have a bunch of condiments that they got from Yamato. They happily set up camp, and Gillis says that he will go set up alarm wires around their surroundings. They will ring when anything touches them, and Gillis reminds everyone that they can't get complacent when camping. They have to stay on their toes at all times, so Gillis leaves the others to watch the fire. Sato can't believe that Gillis is putting up with all the young heroes, but he's very grateful. Gillis said that he's only doing what Mithray would have done, so that is why he's helping the heroes get back home. Sato's glad to have his help, but he points out that Akira probably wouldn't need Gillis holding his hand. Sato admits that he could never stand Akira, even back in their old world. Sato tried to be friendly, but Akira just always ignored him. Asahina says that Akira probably just didn't register Sato in his head, and he's just that type of guy. Akira only recognizes him because their sisters are friends. Sato says that Akira is way stronger than them, and he can even tell that without crossing swords with him. Everyone in Redis was complimenting all the heroes, but it was all lies. In reality, they're only a little bit stronger than the average person, and they're only heroes by name. Akira, however, is different, and Sato really hates to admit it. Sato explains that he learned something about Akira since coming here, and it's that he never doubts his choices in life. It's a real strength of his, and Sato hopes to stop wavering someday himself. He wants to be more like Akira, but Asahina points out that Sato has already been changing. He is speaking his mind a lot more now, and he's becoming a great leader. Back with our hero, Amelia wonders if he's really going to accept Crow's request. Akira explains that it can't be helped, and there are several reasons he needs to do it. Amelia doesn't plan to get in his way, but Akira can only wonder if she will grow to hate him if he goes through with it. Amelia says that she will never hate him, but she wants the person she loves to love himself too. Just then, Akira overhears a family nearby. The family wants to leave, but a little girl wants to stay and look at some items in a shop. This scene makes Akira have a memory about his old life. His family was moving, but his little sister didn't want to leave their home. She couldn't understand why they had to leave, so their mother simply said that it was out of her hands. Akira reveals to us that his father disappeared when he was a kid. They could no longer afford their rent, so they had to move to a cheaper rundown apartment. Akira, however, does not resent his father. For years, he tended to Akira's sick mother and raised him and his sister, all while working. Akira always knew that his father left because he was likely at the end of his rope. Akira's sister didn't want to talk about any of that, and she just refused to leave their home. She told everyone else to go if they wanted, but she vowed to stay right where she was. Akira had no choice but to speak up, so he reminded Yui that family has to stick together. Yui pointed out that this wasn't possible anymore because their father already left. Akira couldn't deny this, but he said that it was more of a reason for the rest of them to stick together. Akira didn't want to lose anyone else, so he begged Yui to come with them. His words finally reached her, so she agreed to go. Their new home was really small, but the more positive Yui decided that it was just perfect for the three of them. Akira took the responsibility of cooking for everyone dinner, and he apologized in case he messed it up. His family loved it though, and Akira was surprised when Yui said that she wanted to cook for them next. She always said that cooking was a pain, but she wanted to be helpful now. Even Akira's mother, who was very ill, said that she would help out on her good days. Yui said that they could all take turns, and Akira was happy to see that their family was getting stronger. These memories make Akira realize something, and he looks worried. Amelia wonders if there's something wrong, but Akira says that it's nothing. Akira has been wavering about his decision for a while now, but he just realized that if he went home a murderer, he wouldn't be able to face his mother and Yui. He would be a different person, and he wouldn't have the right to stay with them. Back home, we see that a month has passed since the mass disappearance of the students. The incident happened at a high school, and 28 students went missing. They're still searching for Akira and his classmates, but there have been no leads regarding their whereabouts. Yui listens to this news report about it, and she does her best to stay positive. She wonders what Akira is doing because she has had to make dinner every night since he left. Akira's family tries to stay strong by saying that he will come back to them because they're supposed to stick together. A while later, Laddie arrives in New York City with Knight. Knight apologizes because they don't have time to sightsee, but Laddie already knows that they're here to get information on the guild. Moments later though, Laddie enjoys a snack, and Knight must remind her about their mission again. Laddie says that she hasn't forgotten, so she tells them that she can send some information nearby. Unfortunately, her instincts just lead them to a leisurely boat ride, and Knight gets the feeling that she's ignoring their mission to do some sightseeing. Laddie's insulted by this accusation, so she points out that she's observing the town as they speak. She is taking in a lot of visual information and sorting it out in her head. Laddie tells their guide to take them to the best tourist spot, and Knight realizes that they're way off track. After a while, Laddie concludes that this is a beautiful tourist town, and she says that running away from home was the best decision she has ever made. Knight, on the other hand, isn't enjoying himself at all, and he wishes that he didn't get caught up in her little trip. Eventually, Knight reminds her that they have to continue their investigation, and Laddie says that she's found the perfect opportunity to do so. She rushes to a random guy, and she wonders if he's an adventurer because she saw his sword. The guy confirms that he is, so Laddie asks him some questions about the Adventurers Guild. She heard that they pay really well for their jobs, so she wonders what they are like. The guy immediately tells her to avoid them because the jobs all involve demons or criminal activity. Laddie would like to know what kind of criminal activity, but the guy refuses to say in public. He wouldn't mind telling her in private though, but this just makes Laddie realize that this guy has taken a liking to her. Unfortunately for him, Laddie says that she's aiming to become everyone's star, so she can't get involved in any relationships. The guy leaves in shame, and Laddie thinks about how she could have gotten some information if she took him up on his offer. She says that it's not easy being so popular, but Knight wonders what he's even doing here. Just then, Knight receives new orders from Akira through their telepathy. Knight says that the orders are urgent, so Laddie agrees to help them out. Their destination is Graham Cluster's home, and Laddie's amazed by how huge it is. It's way too big, so Knight determines that Graham probably wanted to show that he has more power than the church next door. Knight's mission is to secure proof of Graham's evil doing, so Laddie points out that it would be easier to search this huge mansion at night. Knight agrees, so they go to check the other spot for their mission. It's the Adventurers Guild, and Knight tries to think of the best way to sneak in. He is shocked when Laddie just walks right in through the front door, and she is told that the guild is closed for the day. Laddie doesn't back down though, so she points out to the adventurers that they are here even though it's closed. These guys explain that adventurers who do Graham's dirty work get to stay and drink after closing. They call Laddie an outsider though, and tell her to get lost. One of them takes a liking to her, and he wonders if she would like to spend some time with him. The other adventurers are confused when the guy sits back down, so he points out that Laddie pushed them down. Her incredible force even crushes his armor, and Laddie just leaves casually. Knight is losing years of his life because of how unpredictable Laddie is, but she reveals that she discovered something interesting. She points out that the ground floor ceiling doesn't line up with the next floor, which means that there must be a hidden space in there. Knight is shocked when he notices it, and Laddie says that he should make himself useful. It's not a pleasant experience for Knight, as Laddie just launches him straight into the hidden part of the building. Inside, Knight enters a mysterious room, and he's shocked by what he finds. Knight brings what he found to Akira, and Akira thanks Laddie for helping them. Laddie humbly calls herself a hero, and says that she only did what a hero would do. Knight doesn't feel the same way, as he still can't tell if she helped or hurt the mission. The document Knight found reveals what the production schedule is for the booster drugs that Graham makes. It also has the supply routes for their ingredients, and a trafficking inventory categorized by race for the people they kidnapped. It even has the records of the deals that Graham made with demons, and memos on mercenaries rented out to the Kingdom of Redis. This confirms that everything Crow said was true, and Crow points out that he's no liar. However, he does understand that Akira wanted to verify his claims before taking his assassination request. Those claims are verified, but Akira says that something is off. Knight wonders if the documents seem suspicious, but that isn't it. Akira determines that they're real because it would be too hard to fabricate such detailed reports. What Akira really has a problem with is how easily they were able to get the documents. Knight points out that he had to enter a secret room to find them, and Graham probably just never expected anyone to go in there. Laddie reveals that it has been bothering her too, because these documents are incredibly sensitive. If Graham really wanted to keep anyone from finding them, then he would have hid them somewhere in his giant mansion. They would have been way harder to find in there, but Crow declares that the answer is simple. Graham left them somewhere easy to get, specifically so they would be stolen. Inside Graham's home, we see that he has summoned some of his subordinates. They were the only ones who knew where the documents were, and now they have been stolen. These guys are all terrified, as Graham determines that one of them has to be a traitor. Back with our heroes, Crow explains that Graham must have been leaving the documents as bait for someone else. However, Knight nabbed the reports before their target took the bait. This means that Graham's plan has failed, but he can still use the disappearance of the documents to achieve his goal. Back with Graham, his subordinates try to explain that they would never betray him. Graham silences them to reveal that he already knows that these guys didn't steal them. He has caught the actual thief, so he will simply get them to reveal which one of them leaked the location of the documents. Just then, Graham randomly picks one of them, because deep down he knows that there isn't really a traitor, and this is all part of his plan. He declares that this guy is a traitor though, and terrifies everyone by executing him. He announces that the traitor has been dealt with, so it's time for them to find the thief. The guys are confused because Graham said he already captured the thief, but Graham says that he lied. He just said that to sniff out the traitor, and now it's time to get to work. He declares that he will give a very generous reward to whoever finds the culprit, but he also tells them to take their time. Crow explains all this to our heroes, so they can only wonder how he knows. Crow says that he has his leads, and he has heard that there's a conspiracy going around. People are starting to talk about the trafficking, and the rumors are being spread by some of Graham's own men. The person behind it all is the King of Redis, and his goal is to start a war with Uruk. The king couldn't possibly start a war without a good reason, so he has set all this up. If the Kingdom of Redis discovers that their own citizens are being trafficked in Uruk, that is more than enough reason to start a war. Graham doesn't have any political power anymore, but he's still a royal, so his actions will make Uruk the target. This all makes sense, but Akira doesn't understand why the King of Redis would want to go to war. Akira is then shocked when Crow reveals that the king wishes to bring his dead wife back to life. Akira remembers that Mithray hinted at this when he said that the king was broken beyond repair and he was willing to pay a horrific price to break the rules of the world. Amelia says that what the king is trying to do is impossible because even her resurrection magic only works within days of someone passing. The king's wife passed years ago, so it's impossible to bring her back. Crow counters this idea by revealing that there's a skill called equivalent exchange. Apparently, it enables the sacrifice of a great many lives in order to revive one single person. The price paid is immense, but it can revive anyone, regardless of how long they've been dead. Akira can't believe what he's hearing, because the king wants to start a war just so he can end the lives of tons of people in one fell swoop. Everyone feels the same way, as Laddie says that no one should ever be allowed to do that. Knight wonders how Crow knows so much about Redis, so he reminds everyone that Gillis was once one of the king's knights. Gillis stopped the king from going to war with Yamato, and he was relieved of his duties for doing so. Akira is absolutely furious after hearing all this, so he tears the documents to pieces. The documents were meant to be found by someone else to spark the war, so that is why Akira is destroying them. Unfortunately, Crow explains that ripping them up will only buy them a small amount of time. As long as Graham continues to traffic people, Redis will eventually find out. To make things worse, Crow points out that most of the students that were summoned along with Akira are still in Redis. If war breaks out, they will be talked up as potential heroes. They will get sent to the front lines of the war, and their lives will end faster than anyone else's. Akira declares that he doesn't really care about them, but he can't in good conscience let them have their lives taken. Crow wonders if they will be sent into battle as sacrifices, or will they return to their own world alive. This is the turning point, so Crow declares that their fate is in Akira's hands. Akira is well aware of this, as he points out that getting rid of Graham will at least prevent one war from breaking out. Everyone watches with great intensity as the pressure is on Akira to make a decision. Just then, Laddie joins in on the intense conversation as she reveals that she has some crucial intel as well. She has discovered that there's a restaurant in a nearby alley that specializes in meat dishes. They offer 20 servings of an extra meaty lunch special, and it's very affordable. Laddie breaks the tension with her discovery as she points out that there's also a bookstore nearby that has some great deals today. Amelia loves eating, and Akira loves reading, so this information is the most important of all. Amelia laughs as she agrees with her, so she tells Akira that they should get some fresh air together. Knight thinks it's a great idea as well, so Akira agrees to go. Outside, Knight notices that Akira brought his big bag, which means that he's looking to buy lots of books. Laddie explains that the lunch special will only last for a few more hours, and so will the book sale, so they better hurry. They agree to split up, so Akira tells Laddie that she better take good care of Amelia. Laddie says it won't be a problem, because the hero always takes care of the princess. At the bookstore, the guys agree that Laddie actually has a nice side to her, because this was all her idea. Just then, some thief steals Akira's bag, but Knight makes him beg for mercy when he catches up to him. Knight returns Akira's bag, but he says that this isn't like Akira at all. Akira normally wouldn't let some punk steal his belongings, but Akira points out that he was distracted by his reading. Akira does agree, though, that he isn't really himself. Knight can tell that something is bothering Akira, so he says that they should have a chat. Knight says that Akira is clearly distracted, so he promises to keep a watch on their surroundings until Akira's head is cleared. Knight wants Akira to feel like he can talk to him about anything, as he points out that their lives are short. Humans don't live very long, and as Akira is familiar, Knight won't live long either. This means that they should make their feelings very clear, so they don't leave any regrets behind. Akira completely understands, because if he doesn't make it back home, he is sure that he will regret not talking to his family more. Akira decides to open up to Knight, so he says that apparently, he's a lot weaker than he thought. Eliminating Graham is a sensible thing to do, and Akira is an assassin, so he's the perfect class to take on the job. However, Akira has come to realize that he isn't a very good assassin because he hasn't taken anyone's life yet. Even after knowing this, Akira says that he isn't sure if he can deal with the gravity of ending someone's life story. He couldn't even eliminate the demon who was after him, so Akira thinks it's a big weakness of his. Knight points out that Akira still managed to survive, and that's all that really matters, but Akira thinks that he's just trying to make him feel better about his weakness. Knight says that isn't true, because he just doesn't want Akira to end up like he did in the past. He explains that when you take a life, it wears down on your heart, slowly but surely. Then when you take countless lives, it takes a great toll on you. Knight never wants Akira to experience anything like that, so he would rather Akira not take a life. However, there are some times when a person must end a life in order to protect themselves or the people they love. Knight says that if that happens, then there's no need for that person to beat themselves up. Akira is sure that this is one of those times, but he still can't seem to make up his mind. He says that it's because he's weak, but Knight tells him that he's strong. Akira is then stunned when Knight points out that it was Akira that gave him a new life story. Knight has decided to be by Akira's side until the very end, and he would even take lives whenever Akira told him to. Akira hates that idea though, because if he made Knight do his dirty work, it would really make him a scumbag. Akira refuses to go down that road, and Knight already knew that he would. Akira decides that he will take a good look at Graham and see for himself if he truly deserves to die. Akira then says that he doesn't want Knight to hide anything from him either. Knight says that he doesn't, but Akira reminds him that he transformed into Mithray. Knight never told him that he met Mithray before, so he promises to tell Akira more about it later. Besides that, Akira says that Knight is giving him too much credit. He jokes by saying that he only made Knight his familiar because he likes cats. Afterwards, Akira goes to get a good look at Graham. He determines that it will be easier to see him at the guild because there's no way they will let him into the mansion. Laddie fears that she will get recognized if she goes in, so she says that she will wait outside. When they enter, an adventurer tells them that this is no place for kids. Amelia says that they just want to know when Graham will be in next, but the guy refuses to tell her. He doesn't like how she's talking to him, so he gets up, but Akira stops him. The guy explains that he wants to teach Amelia a lesson in how to talk to people, but Akira tells him that it won't be necessary. The guy doesn't like how Akira is talking either, so he goes to attack him, but Akira easily stops the guy. A fight is about to break out, but a girl tells the guy to stop. Her name is Akira, and the guy named Raoul points out that these people were talking down to him. He says that he's the silver-ranked adventurer called Raoul the Whirlwind, so he can't let anyone disrespect him. Akira doesn't care, and she apologizes for Raoul's behavior. Just then, she recognizes Amelia and determines that Akira must be the one called the Silent Assassin. Raoul recognizes them as well, so he is shocked, and he immediately apologizes. He serves them drinks and says sorry for his terrible behavior. Akira tells Raoul to stop bothering them, but Raoul can't help himself. He saw firsthand how Akira's dark magic consumed a horde of monsters, and he instantly became a fan. Amelia points out that he was trying to pick a fight with them earlier, so Raoul apologizes again. He explains that Akira just looked like a normal guy, but he changes that to say that Akira is just very good at concealing his power. Raoul is not just a fan, as he reveals that he wants to be Akira's disciple. Unfortunately for him, Akira doesn't take students, and he refuses to make any exceptions. Just then, someone arrives to wonder what all the commotion is, and Akira determines that it's time. Graham has arrived, and he immediately recognizes Princess Amelia. He says that he's the guild master of Uric City's Adventurers Guild, and he formally introduces himself as Graham Cluster. Graham explains that there's something he would like to discuss with Amelia, so he wants her to come with him to his mansion. Amelia of course doesn't respond, and Akira prepares to confront the noble. Graham simply tells our hero not to interfere, and he calls him a nobody. Raoul sticks up for Akira and declares that even if Graham is the guild master, he doesn't have the right to insult the silent assassin. Graham already knows exactly who Akira is because he has heard about the summoned heroes. He knows that the hero and his party have devoted themselves to slaying the demon lord. Graham just insults our hero again by saying that Akira is wasting his time here and goofing around. Raoul's ready to defend our hero again, but Akira stops him. Akira simply explains that it's his time and he can choose whatever he wants to do with it. Graham makes things even worse as he says that it's sad to see how disrespectful Akira has become. The person it's really sad for, though, is the man who gave his life to get Akira out of the palace. Tensions quickly begin to rise, and Akira demands for this guy to tell him who he's talking about. Graham is talking about Mithray, and he says that Mithray is probably rolling in his grave right now because of Akira's behavior. Graham declares that Mithray went out in the most pathetic way possible, but it was quite the show. He is glad that he put cameras on the night ravens because now he can watch what happened that night whenever he wants. Graham wonders if Akira would like to see the footage, but Akira is not interested in anything Graham has to say. Our hero simply explains to him that admitting what he did to his face will be Graham's biggest mistake. Graham prepares his soldiers for battle, but Caria can't understand what's going on. She wonders if Graham is really going to attack these adventurers for no reason, but everyone is shocked when Graham has his guards attack her. He orders for Amelia's capture, and he says that his soldiers can eliminate anyone that gets in their way. Akira instructs Raoul to get Caria to safety, and he prepares to defend everyone. Akira fights back against the soldiers, and he uses concealed presence to hide himself. These are not normal soldiers, however, as they have special vision, and they're still able to see Akira. Our hero just barely manages to dodge their attacks, and it becomes very clear that he won't be able to hide from them. Graham explains that he knows all about Akira's concealed presence skill because the cameras on the Night Ravens revealed this before. Once he learned that Akira was hanging around with the princess, Graham came up with a plan. He had the mystic eyes developed for his soldiers, so now they can see Akira just like Mithray used to. Akira continues to battle against them, but he is shocked when he lands an attack and it does nothing. His strikes won't be able to penetrate the armor of these soldiers, so Akira comes up with a better idea. He uses one of the attackers as a shield, and he makes the soldiers attack each other. Unfortunately, he gets pierced by one of their attacks as well, so Akira thinks about using his shadow magic. He remembers what happened last time though, and he fears what might happen if he loses control with Amelia nearby. Just then, Amelia jumps into the fight with her gravity spell, but even that is not enough to stop the powered up soldiers. Knight says that he will hold the soldiers back, so Akira tells his companion to give them a good fight, but he makes sure to tell Knight to run away after. Our hero then takes Amelia, and they try to get away from the attackers. Laddie sees what's going on, so she tells our heroes to take her hand. She manages to get them out of danger because she's a demon, and she can fly. Laddie points out how amazing she is, and our heroes thank her for helping. As they make their escape, Amelia can't help but admire the beauty of the city from this high up. Akira agrees that it's beautiful, but he's actually thinking about Amelia. Afterwards, Knight says that he couldn't hold the soldiers back for long, but Akira assures him that he did more than enough. Laddie says that she will be going now, but Akira wonders why she's leaving. Laddie simply explains that if Akira is going to spill blood, then she doesn't want to be around to see it. Amelia is surprised because she didn't even realize what Akira was intending to do, and Akira simply says goodbye to Laddie. Akira goes to speak with Crow, and he explains that Graham had his boosted soldiers with him. Akira had a hard time with them, so Crow determines that the boosted soldiers are extremely formidable. Akira is sure that he can take them one-on-one, but the numbers game is hard to overcome. They have countermeasures against his concealed presence, and none of his attacks did any damage. It felt like the impact of his attacks were just being dispersed. Crow determines that the soldiers must be buffing their gear with the mana generated from the boosters. Fighting them head-on will get Akira nowhere, but Crow points out that Akira is an assassin, so he probably has his ways. Amelia interrupts their conversation as she points that Akira still hasn't made his decision about doing the job. Crow explains that now that Graham has them in their sights and has failed to capture them, he will throw caution to the wind and pursue them even harder. Amelia becomes upset as she realizes that they're running out of options, and Akira can see this. He tells Amelia at night that it's getting late, so he says that they should go to bed. He wants to be alone for a while, so he leaves the room. At Graham's mansion, we see that he's doing some weird stuff as he has a couple of soldiers attached to some kind of orb. He is told that his orders have been carried out, so they now have eyes on every route out of the capital. A search is also being conducted, and Graham is told that they will know where Amelia is staying within a day's time. Graham gets bored, so he snaps his fingers to begin his entertainment. His snap forces the soldiers closer together because Graham wants them to fight for their lives. The soldiers are incredibly skilled, and they eventually both take each other out. Graham's right-hand man watches the cruel battle, and he wonders why Graham is doing this. Graham's answer is simple, as he says that it's for entertainment. He calls the soldiers losers, and explains that they will use up their entire lifetime supply of mana in a year, and their lives will end. There's no point in caring about them, because Graham can just replace as many as he needs, as long as he has boosters. Besides that, once he sells Amelia to the demons, he will get the rare materials he needs to produce boosted soldiers of a much higher caliber. Back at the hotel, Akira thinks about how Graham will keep coming after Amelia if he doesn't end his life. The guy even mocked Mithray, so Akira determines that Graham cannot be allowed to live. Akira thinks about his family back home, but he stops himself because he has already made up his mind. Akira gets ready to do what he must, but he drops his bag, and the item Mithray left for him falls out. As Akira reaches for it, he's shocked to find that it contains a recording. Akira can't believe what he's seeing, as he realizes that Mithray left a message for him. Mithray's message says that he doesn't know what might happen to either of them, which is why he left this message. He's sorry to disappoint Akira though, because he doesn't really have a big secret to reveal or anything like that. Akira of course isn't disappointed at all, and the message continues. Mithray reminds Akira to be an assassin who respects life, so that he can always return home to his family alive. Mithray's message says that Akira will go home one day to a land that is peaceful, a place where he won't be faced with constant bloodshed. This strikes Akira deeply, and he becomes emotional. Mithray says that he doesn't want Akira to do anything he will regret, which is why he doesn't want him to avenge him if anything happens. He tells Akira that he doesn't need to feel responsible for any of this world's wrongdoings, and that includes his death. It's clear now that Mithray knew that something would happen, so Akira can no longer hold back his tears. Mithray reminds Akira that revenge is a fool's errand. Akira hates that he had to see this message now because he finally made up his mind. He's ready to do what needs to be done, but now he feels terrible about it. Mithray continues by explaining that so much in life is out of their hands, but Mithray trusts Akira to not get swept away by emotion. Mithray is sure that Akira must be wondering why he's so invested in him, so he explains. He says that he was immediately impressed by Akira from the start, and he was proud to see the man he was becoming. Mithray becomes embarrassed after saying this, so he says goodbye and he ends the message. Akira can only apologize now because he has to go through with his decision. All he hopes is that one day, Mithray will give him a good scolding for being an utter fool and not listening to him. As Akira goes to leave, he finds that Crow is still awake. Akira is heading out to do his dirty work, so Crow feels that it's only right for him to see Akira off. Akira declares that he's going to end Graham's life, so Crow wonders how he will deal with the boosted soldiers. Akira simply explains that he will do what needs to be done, but he won't spill any blood he doesn't have to. Just before he leaves, he sees that Amelia didn't go to sleep either, as she stops him. She begs Akira one last time not to go through with the mission, because she can tell that deep down, he doesn't want to end anyone's life. Akira says that she is right, but this is something he has to do, and he can only apologize to her. Amelia's heart is broken because there's no telling how this will change Akira, so she begins to cry. Outside, Akira finds that Knight has also come to see him off. The loyal Knight tells Akira that all he needs to do is say the word and he will go with him. Unfortunately, Akira declares that he must do this on his own, so Knight obeys his master's orders by staying behind. Moments later, Akira arrives at Graham's mansion. He takes out several of the guards by destroying their power gems, and he makes his way inside. This is the exact moment that we saw at the beginning, as Akira encounters the other assassin. However, this time, we hear what's going through Akira's mind. He refuses to let anyone else have his target, and all that he can think about is Mithray's face. As he battles the assassin, Akira thinks about how there's so much in life that is out of our control. This is true for everyone, and Akira knows that he's no exception. Even this other hitman that was probably sent by the king is going through the same thing. In the end, everyone deals with things that they wish they didn't have to. This is true for Akira's friends who can't stop him, and even all the students that were brought to this world against their will. Akira then thinks that it's probably even true for the demons and the Demon Lord. It's true for the king, and probably even Graham Cluster. As the fight comes to an end, Akira thinks about how all this was even true for Mithray. Something happened that was out of his control, which is why Akira must end Graham's life. Our hero then finds Graham's room, and he prepares to eliminate him. There's no room left for hesitation, so Akira raises his sword to do what must be done. A while later, Akira returns to the others, and all he can do is apologize. He doesn't say another word, so Amelia wonders what he's apologizing for. She becomes worried as she sees the defeated look in Akira's eyes, and he finally responds. He says that he made up his mind to end Graham's life, but when it actually came time, he couldn't stop shaking. However, Akira reveals that he did kill Graham, and he found that he felt nothing afterwards. Now he's scared of himself for not batting an eye after taking a man's life. Akira realizes how dumb everything is, because none of this would have happened if he just eliminated the King of Redis when he had the chance. If he had done that, then Mithray would still be alive. Amelia tries to stop him from spiraling down this path, but it's too late. Akira knows that if he was going to become a murderer either way, then sooner would have been better. Akira declares that that guy he was earlier, the guy that Amelia tried to save, is now gone forever. There is no going back, so he can only apologize to Knight and Amelia. Just then, Amelia goes to embrace him, and she tells Akira that it's okay. She promises to be with him, no matter what happens, or what he becomes. She has always watched Akira blaze his own trail, and she promises to never stop. Even Akira says that he doesn't know what will become of him in the future, and he might even turn into some kind of monster. However, if Amelia is still willing to stick by him, then he thinks that he will be able to keep moving forward. They have a tender moment, and Knight reminds Akira not to forget about him. Knight has decided to dedicate his life to Akira, so he will be with them all the way. With his friends by his side, Akira decides that it's time for them to continue their journey. Elsewhere, Lee is shocked to learn that Graham was assassinated. She wonders if it was Akira, and she quickly realizes that it had to be him, because it couldn't have been anyone else. Somewhere far away, Asahina says that his intuition skill has been nagging at him. He fears that something happened to Akira, but it's nothing like him passing away or being injured. All Asahina can sense is that Akira has undergone some kind of transformation. Sato doesn't want to jump to any conclusions, so he says that they can see what happened themselves when they meet Akira again. Elsewhere, Laddie says that everyone experiences some kind of loss, and what matters is what they do afterwards. As for her, she intends to settle things with the Demon Lord, and she wonders what Akira will do when that time comes. Back with our hero, he tells Crow that he will be coming with them. Crow doesn't say no, as he's a man of his word, and he promised to guide them through the demon realm. Everyone's ready to go, so our hero and his friends set off on the next chapter of their journey. Akira thinks about how Amelia and Knight have accepted him, even after he became a real assassin. If they can do it, then Akira says that he will have to accept it as well. He still doesn't know if he has any right to return to his world after this, but there is something that he does know. If it's ever necessary to take a life to get him and his friends back home, then he will take the job as an assassin. Thanks for watching my recap of the first season of this anime. Make sure to like the video.